Hey, it says I'm live. This thing, it's a little bit upsetting, honestly, because it's like, girl, I'm looking at the preview right now, and that was like minutes ago. Anyway, how y'all doing today? My name is Patrick. This is Real Coke Rook. I don't know why I said it like that. Hola. So today I wanted to just get into the major court. Major minor court. So let's put the major first, shall we? And I was like, I'm gonna do this part before I go live because this part is boring. And there's so many times when I do stuff on camera that I can do off camera. And so I was like, I'll prepare a little bit. And like the Emperor and the Empress were together. The Lovers was with I think the Star. There was this one point when it was like the Wheel of Fortune into the Ten of Cups and into the World card and so many other just like oh my gosh type moments. Um, and so what we ended up with is no, I do like it better. I like it better this way. The story was more cohesive for me. We go from the Nine of Wands into the Queen of Wands into this Fool card, and you can see how the Fool card and this Queen of Wands could be the same person. Maybe if the Queen of Wands cut off maybe a foot or so of hair. And then we got the Daddy of Pentacles and who's that? The High Priestess under them. Well, what's under this then? That Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Wands, Nine of Pentacles, everything's going to be all right. And I just want to do a bunch of these. So if someone happens to come in and if y'all want one, then I can do that. Sure, why not? Right? But let's see. I just want to see what comes out. I love reading like this, honestly. And then I have this world geography book because I did, I guess, did a little bit of bibliomancy on the other channel. I did the throat portal today, the throat chakra, and that was interesting. It was really interesting at the end of it, honestly. But I was like, because I don't have any fun books, so I was like, well, I'm gonna pull this world geography book and see what's up, right? At the bottom of the deck is the Five of Swords, and that was at the top. This world geography book that I got from like 7th or 8th grade. Let's see. What is this? A picture? Soviet Union. What? It's a Soviet magazine. Okay. The Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 destroyed the empire and created the Soviet Union. Many ethnic groups had separate republics within the Soviet Union. When the Soviet Union broke apart in 1991, the republics became independent nations. Even without the rest of its empire, Russia is still the largest country in the world. Okay. So we're talking about revolution. That's interesting because I was watching a video. Who was it? Or somebody said no. It was on Instagram. The Cards by Alicia. She made a post. I can't remember because I ain't really been on Instagram lately. And someone was like, I'm from Russia, and the word revolution is triggering for me. And I know about the Bolshevik Revolution because probably history classes. Also, it might have been featured in a movie. I don't know what movie it would have been, though. But it's coming to my mind like a movie. It's like I saw something about it. And there was a family that was escaping because of the Bolshevik Revolution. But maybe they got caught. I don't know. Anyway, that was interesting. We'll see what that's about. And we'll give these a few shuffles. What's going on in my life? Not much. Well, there's some stuff going on. I went to bed at like after the sun came up, so like 6 maybe. Woke up at like 11 or like 9 or 10, and then I got out of bed at 11. I've been doing that thing lately where I don't sleep much, or I go to bed late and I wake up
before I want to, because I want more sleep. But I'm not necessarily feeling tired. All right, now let's get into this. We'll start with the major and then we'll work our way back. So the major that we have is the strength card. The strength card came out with, that might have been the one that was with the lovers. It was like the lovers and something and then strength. I was like, oh my gosh. Raising my mind. So this is an area where we need to be strong, and I love that the strength card in this deck is a white tiger. Tigers are apparently my new favorite animal. Also, shout out to lions, but mostly tigers. And tiger gives me the energy of flexibility. And I feel like tigers are a little bit more graceful than lions, but they're also more powerful. And so there's an element of power with that grace, or there's an element of grace that the power requires, because you can't just go in like tearing up anything and everything, right? With this flexibility, with this grace, it's an element, it's an understanding of consequence, believe it or not. And it's about not acting recklessly. I feel like it's very interesting that I feel like it seems that without talking to a whole bunch of people, it seems that like some people are in a space of not trying to reconcile the past, but maybe looking at how they played into a certain role, or maybe they felt really justified in the past, right? And now it could be the case. Let's see. Let's try to adjust this. It could be the case that like it's like at what cost, right? It's like, yeah, I felt justified in the moment, but what did it cost me? At what cost am I getting it? And I feel like that's a situation that this grace will allow you to not necessarily completely avoid, but you won't encounter it as much. Now we're coming into this page of Wands energy with this Princess of Wands. So I think this is interesting for this because I know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull these down as we go through it. It's interesting that, well, if I do that, then we're going to do this. Might as well pull the bottom of the deck. Ooh, the Chariot. Exactly. I feel like there were people who definitely felt maybe not vindicated. Why do I keep wanting to say vindicated? There are people who felt justified in their actions in the past, but now it seems like there's this moment of like, was it really worth it? And so it's not necessarily completely backtracking, but there is a recognition and a realization of our shortcomings in the past. And maybe what it cost us. And then, yeah, again, we have the Five of Swords. It's like, was it worth... Well, that's at the bottom of the deck, so we'll get there when we get there. But with the Chariot and with, I think that's the other princess. Yeah, the Princess of Cups and the Princess of Wands. Come on, Temperance energy. But with this Page of Wands, it's like it reveals some of the immaturity that we had. And it was immaturity that came through means of just things in the ego that we didn't see, parts of our shadow that we didn't quite necessarily... It's like there were pieces of our shadow that we thought were light because of what it gave us. I like that. I need to stop squeezing that. I don't need to drown myself on camera with a water bottle, girl. Yeah, there were pieces of our shadow that we thought were light because of what it gave us, right? It's like we thought that being, I don't want to say loud and obnoxious, but we thought that being abrasive and blunt and loud was the way to go about whatever. But now with this Page of Wands, we're kind of sort of maybe potentially seeing areas where it burned us more than it served us. And then, yeah, we got the Seven of Coins here. And this Seven of Coins is interesting because I feel like lately what I've been... Oops. Goodness, calm down. What I've been feeling lately is that it's like the ends have to justify the means, right? And I think that's another thing that makes this grace so important, or what it is, because I feel like the grace of the tiger, it brings an element of thought that the strength of the lion doesn't necessarily have, right? the lion is like pounce first, ask questions later, and the tiger is like, and the tiger could be just as vicious and ferocious, right? But with the Seven of Pentacles, it's also giving me the energy of like scorching the land where you're trying to plant seeds, burning bridges that now maybe we're trying to sort of reconstruct. And overall, we have the Five of Swords, the Page, or the Princess of Cups, and the Chariot. So these will be around the issues of movement. How do I say that? It's not self-sacrifice, but self-sacrifice is the word that's like popping into my head. Wow, and I can't even think of the other word. It's like a question of like whether we go to extremes or not. Are we acting out of line to get this movement? So there's this element of movement, there's an element of conflict or a battle of wills, we'll say. And then there's this in-between question of like how much is too much and how far is too extreme. And it's like there's this underlying insecurity that sort of motivates all of this that's behind the scenes. So now let's move on to the second round and let's see how this goes forward. Let's start over here. So coming off that Seven of Pentacles, we actually have the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups is about 5 and 5. The Five of Cups is about leaving this in the past, and it's about leaving it behind. I probably should have put this the other way so it's upright for y'all, but that's fine. Let's move this up a little bit. I want it to see enough where I don't forget what this is. But I do actually want to get a few rounds on the table. This is not even. And the minors are so far from the courts and the majors. But with the Five of Cups, when it comes to the Seven of Pentacles, and again, we see the moon featured here. And then there's also moon featured up here in the Princess of Cups. And so it's like the way that we are doing things wasn't necessarily aligned with the way that we want to do things or the way that we want to be seen or perceived. But since we did it that way, it speaks to us in a certain way. So maybe we did something and now we're want to be like, well, that wasn't really me. That wasn't truly me. And now it's like that energy of wanting to go back and apologize. You burnt a bridge and now you're trying to get over it. But with the Five of Cups, we have 3 cups pointing to the future, 2 cups pointing to the past. And the cups that are pointing to the past are blue. The cups that are pointing to the future are orange. And so I feel like this is about accurately, maybe we can now, some people or some of us, we're now in a space where we can more accurately perceive the past for what it is. And so now, since we have a sort of broader context to it, we can kind of sort of see ways where maybe we did a little too much, or maybe some areas where we didn't do enough. We can see ways where maybe we were compromising who we are. I think that's what I was looking for. Not self-sacrifice, but areas and times where we compromise who we are and our integrity and our morals and our ethics. Or we see ways where maybe we were like on the opposite side of that, like a little too boastful, egoic, and proud. But then with the orange pointing towards the future, it's about incorporating and seeing the past as it was, and then building that future, working towards that future, and healing anything that sort of internal conflict would bring up. Right? So now we're coming to the Queen of Pentacles. Interesting, no repeat elements yet. We're coming to the Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles is very nurturing. Girl, I did a video on my channel. I say girl, I use girl as a gender-neutral pronoun. And collective, a gender-neutral collective pronoun. I was doing a video on the heart chakra yesterday. And I came to generosity, and I was like, I don't know what I want to pull for generosity. And then I watched like a reading or two last night, and I watched another reading today, and everyone was like, "Oh, the King of Pentacles is generosity. The King of Pentacles is generous. The King of Pentacles is generous." I've been hearing, because it really stumped me yesterday. I was like, I don't know what I want to pull for generosity, because the first one was receptivity, and I was like, that's the Queen of Cups, easy. And then it was generosity, and then it was mistrusting. And for mistrusting, I wanted to pull the Eight of Swords, and I was doing a major minor court. But since I couldn't figure out anything for generosity, and it could have been the King of Pentacles, and then for receptivity, I could have done a major. But everyone was like, the King of Pentacles is generosity. The King of Pentacles is generosity. I can't escape it now. Well, here's his queen. And so I ended up doing the Six of Pentacles for generosity and the Moon for mistrusting. But the Queen of Pentacles is here, and I feel like, again, that's about creating something from the future. There's also this ability for us to, through genetics and other things, for us to pass something down onto the future. And so I feel like this is about being intentional about the way that you want to create something moving forward, the way that you want to create in this new space. And I feel like some people, what they'll do is they'll adopt a victim mentality and mindset in the past, and then they'll carry that narrative forward. And it continues to reinforce and revalidate the narrative that they have, right? However, they have been victimized. And I don't like saying it that way, but I feel like, and I don't want to say it's trivial either, but let's say if you're like, every time I lend something to someone, they don't return it, right? And so now, not only do you keep lending stuff to people, but you're also manifesting people or situations or things that will be broken or that won't be returned for whatever reason, instead of letting that piece of the narrative go. And I think that's what this Queen of Pentacles has the ability to do if this isn't done in proper portion. And so it's interesting because, again, there's this energy of like burnt bridges or things that happened in the past that maybe we can look at with a different perspective and with a different lens now. And maybe who we are now would have interacted and engaged with that situation in a different way. But this is about being who we are now and stop focusing so much on who we were. Yeah, and then we have this judgment. And this judgment could be a sort of fairly harsh internal judgment on ourselves. And it isn't necessarily. This judgment energy can go either way. Either this is integrating the lessons as lessons, or this is us moving forward in a way that, hold on, wait, let's go back. Either this, and I love like this orange. There's lots of like orange sky over here specifically. This is pretty unified in all the colors. This is whatever. Anyway, it's like back here. What was I talking about? Whether we carry the narrative with us, or whether we decide to pick up the pen and write something new, right? It's very much so like, how many times is Hollywood gonna remake this story? How many times are we gonna live the same lessons? Does it seem like 1960 something, 1950 something to anybody else? All of this like repeating and repeating and repeating. But at what point are we doing anything differently is the question. Because if you never do anything different, if you never incorporate different ideas or voices into the boardroom, if you never look at a new IP instead of revamping an old one, it's like, what do you expect? And I think that's what this judgment is. I think how we proceed and move forward mostly is going to depend on how we view ourselves in these situations. If we view ourselves in the lens of, oh, you know, at that time I was going through this and I was going through that, and it was a misunderstanding. And it wasn't necessarily that it's a misunderstanding in the past, but it's just like at that point I wasn't equipped to, and it's just like it didn't work out. It didn't happen the way that maybe we thought it was going to happen. It was different back then, but now I have the flexibility and the grace to know that, you know, maybe I was a little harsh. And in the harshness, I burnt a bridge that I actually want to still stand, or I behaved in a way from that space of vulnerability but not being able to express it that isn't truly reflective of what I sort of want to be known for or who I actually am, right? Or you could be like, well, everybody else comes in and they do this to me, so, you know, it is what it is. But the question is where you put that judgment, because that will decide how you move forward. If you move forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, wait. I think I should have 20. Yeah, I should have 20. I think I forgot the aces. Because I was like, I don't remember. I don't know if I put the aces in here. Let's see. Shall we? Nope. And then I think I put the ace of wands over here with the majors. Oh, goodness. I put the aces with the court cards because I feel like they carry the same energy. It's like the court cards are how we interact with the aces, and so the ace itself is sort of that scepter. Okay, that's a whole bunch. Ooh, okay, don't. Ooh, let's do a few more. I could timestamp these, but it's sort of irrelevant. Not irrelevant, but not necessary. I know that Ace of Wands is over here because I think I thought it might have been the Magician when I saw it. Or something like that. Or maybe not. I thought I put it over here for some reason. Where is the Ace of Wands? Hold up. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, the Ace of Wands is the only ace that actually made it over here. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Then what am I missing? I have all the aces. There's a princess. There's a princess. I got all the princesses. Where's the Son of Swords? I think that's who I'm missing. I'm missing the Knight of Swords. Because there's the King. Where's the... Oh my gosh. Where is this Knight of Swords? I should have counted these. Then that would have been easier. Yeah, he ain't here somewhere. The Emperor, the Ace of Swords, and this Eight of Cups. We'll see. Unless he's just like AWOL. Well, I say good riddance to him. Let me stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4. 34. And I should have 9 times 4 is 32. 8 times 4 is 32. 9 times 4 is 36. I'm missing. Am I missing cards? Hold up. What the? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2. 22 majors, which is right. I'm missing the Knight of Swords and like 2 minors. What the? How long have they been gone? When's the last time I saw the Knight of Swords? I don't know. I guess I'm going to pull a different deck then, since this one is apparently out of commission. Girl, what? How long she been gone? What does that mean? I'm always like, what does it mean? The Knight of Swords is gone. The Knight of Swords could be our ability to act on the truth. We saw the Page of Swords and we have the King and Queen of Swords, and the Ace of Swords is also there. So we're open to receiving it, and we know where we want to be with it, but we don't know how to get there. And one of the biggest reasons with the Star card, one of the biggest reasons that we don't know how to get there is because we're not acting on it. And of course, if you're not acting on it, then you're not going to know how to get there. Hello? But where did they go? Girl. Well, what am I going to use now? The Witch's Tarot? The Vice Versas? No. The Kawaiis? No. Yeah, we'll use the Witch's Tarot. Or I could use the dice. I had this bag of dice. Let's see what comes out. I'm going to use these. I love the Spencer's Tarot cards, you know. They were like this $8 deck. It was like a gag deck for if you went as a tarot card reader for Halloween or something and you needed a prop. And I don't know, I felt like they were calling me. There was like a Game of Thrones deck. I was like, well, I don't watch Game of Thrones. And there were a few other decks, but I was like, I don't know, something about that deck up there is calling my name. So we have a 2, we got a 10. We have an 84, a 4, and a 1. And also another 1. 2 1s, a 2, a 10, 84, and a 4. Where's my phone? I need to see what that 84 is. Oh, snap. Rustling Around just uploaded a video. He's one of my new faves. I recently subscribed to somebody because like they had one video. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. And then they had another video and I was like, ooh, this is interesting. And then I was like, oh, that's it? Okay. It's fine. But also, you know, her videos are more so directed at people who are like fresh on the journey or who are like new. So not that there isn't good information there. I just don't think I'm in her audience, her target market. Oh, nice. It's already here. 84 is Leo. Libra. Ha! Leo thought. Let me. Sorry. I think I actually have these mixed up. No, I don't. This is Libra. I don't know if I've ever gotten Libra here. Libra is about balance. Libra is heady. It's emotional intellect, as some people like to call it. We got Libra here. We have the root here. The heart is here. The Wheel of Fortune energy is here. And also Taurus is here. Libra and Taurus. So we have both aspects of Venus. So it's like we have the love side of Venus. Oh, snap! Hidden Truth. Are you talking about Hidden Truth for that Knight of Swords being missing? Best friend, where you come from? I still ain't even updated my Animal Crossing yet, girl. I ain't even been on that game. I didn't buy turnips this week. How are you doing? I kind of sort of want to pull some cards for you. Because every time I pull cards for you, the Lovers comes out. And I'm always like, why is that? It's always so interesting. And I know, anyway. So we have both sides of Venus here. The masculine, how are you doing today? The masculine and the feminine side of Venus are both here. So I feel like that's sort of like the lovey-dovey aspect of Venus. And that's also the kind of materialistic aspect of Venus. But not necessarily do it. Okay, after I finish these. If you're still with me. And it's not necessarily materialistic, but it's just like it likes to be comfortable. There's wealth, there's class, there's love, there's comfort. Also, Venus Venusian energy can be demanding. Hey Zelda, how are you doing today? You need it. Oh snap. Okay, girl. Well, let me know if this need to be private or if we can do it public. I've actually been thinking about pulling cards for you. Honestly, not gonna lie, for a minute. I guess I could have just been like, "Hey, you want some cards?" Um, but yeah, Venus can be a little demanding, but it's not demanding like anything that Venus demands, she deserves. And then we have the root, we have the heart, we have the wheel of fortune, and also the element of water. And so I feel like this is emotions. With emotions and the wheel of fortune, it's about us coming into spaces where we allow ourselves to be open with the heart and the root to newer, better, brighter connections and connections that are actually worthy and deserving of who we are, right? And anything that is superficial, I feel like Venus, you could look at Venus maybe and be like, oh, she's vain, she's superficial, she's this and she's that. And it's like she likes to be comfortable and she has expensive taste and she has the means to get it, so sure. But if you really know Venus, if you really knew Venus, like I said, everything that she demands, she deserves. So if you're Venus, why wouldn't you demand the best? If you deserve more, why don't you demand more? This is an energy of no longer settling. We ain't settling. Oh, girl, hold up. When did this go to 20? You supposed to be 84. This ain't no 24. What's 24? Now I'm curious. One second. Oh, snap. All right. After I get to Ericsonia, then I'll get to you. I'm sorry to hear it's been a rough few days, but hopefully things lighten up for you. And I didn't even know that you were into new. Girl, I feel like we don't talk enough. Honestly. Best friend, I feel like we don't talk enough. Actually, we don't. I was supposed to be in Vegas right now. Um, I would have left on Monday, and I think I would have been coming back this weekend. But that event moved digital, so I am here with my flight credit. So I might run away. 24 that's the three of water, and the three of water is another. Oh, I love that. The three of water, the three of essences, is that energy where we come into the masculine, feminine, and the child. And it's been a thing lately where we don't there's it's been this thing lately of creating and cultivating spaces. I don't know why I'm wearing these. There's literally nothing playing in my ears right now. And I don't even know where my case is to take these out. It must be in the restroom still. Actually, I'm going to grab that, so I'll be right back. I'll be right back. One moment, please. All right, there we go. It really took me that long to realize I've been wearing earphones with no music or anything playing. I'm like, I'm just wearing these. Why am I just wearing these? Maybe that's to do with some of these relationships. um, but what was I talking about? Venus. It's like she could look superficial on the outside, but she doesn't. She demands what she's worth. And so we have this wheel of fortune. Oh, I've been talking lately about creating and cultivating spaces where we can be ourselves fully and authentically, because I feel like there are certain elements of ourselves that we don't even know because they haven't been able to breathe. We haven't lived them, and so we don't know how they interact with people that are accepting of them. And so, no problem. And so it's like, in order for things to change, it's like we have to tend to our environment. And that's also the thing with the three of essences, energy. Because so the journey of essences, it's a breakdown. It's like a build up, a breakdown, and then a build up in a way. And at the three, that's before the breakdown, but it's when we're sort of in this space to collaborate for collaboration. It's a space of collaboration. So we move from Libra to collaboration, and both of those energies are about collaboration, right? Libra is cardinal air. It's all about Libra can be martyry though. Um, let's turn this into a roast to Libra because I don't like Libras. Let me stop. I'm kidding. I've actually been thinking about my friend. He actually popped into my mind right before I did this. So it's interesting that Libra comes out because he's a Libra. I'm pretty sure he's like a Libra sun and moon. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't understand anybody who has a moon sign that's the same as their sun sign. Because for me, it's like when I get emotional, like I'm different. For some people, like him, like, and this other person, like people with the same sun and moon, it's like you're the same. What? I just don't understand it. But anyway, the thing about Libra, it's about balance. Now, where Libra runs into trouble is where it puts the emphasis of importance. And that's that masculine side of Venus. So my Libran friend, it's not all about him, but he prioritizes himself beyond everyone else, regardless of what the relationship is or whatever. And he literally, because, okay, so I gave him a little bit of his own medicine last time we were together, and he didn't like it. And his girlfriend was also there. And so I had backup. I was I was feeling bold. I was feeling brave. And so he'll do this thing where he'll completely change the plan, no warning, and then we just got to go with it because it's like, well, what else are we going to do? So that's what I did. I didn't completely change the plan, but there was an agreement that I made that he didn't know about because it's all about him, right? And basically, I went to visit him, and initially, because his girlfriend, I live between him and his girlfriend, so he was going to drop me off at home on his way to drop his girlfriend back off when she came later, right? I was there for a few weeks, and then she came for a weekend. That was the initial plan. Then that's the only reason why I met up with him. The only reason why I agreed to go down there is because he said that he was going to drop me back off, right? And it's not the only reason, because if I wouldn't have been able to convince him to do that, I probably wouldn't have, I probably would have gotten a bus ticket or something. But it was our agreement that he would drop me off. So things changed, and he was like, hey, so now you're going to be getting on the bus and you're going to be paying for it. And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, yeah, and he didn't even care. So what I did was I talked to my mom. I was like, hey, I don't feel like paying for this. I don't feel like getting on this bus right now. I feel like I have like too much stuff for me to be comfortable with like being on the bus. Because again, like if I was gonna get on the bus, I would have packed lighter than having a whole trunk in a car, right? It's not like I moved my whole house, but at the same time, that was the agreement. And then he completely changed it. And so what I did, I was like, hey, since his girlfriend lives like half an hour from where we live, I was like, well, would you be able to take both of us back? And she was like, she didn't want to do it, but she agreed to do it, right? And because he was gonna get her bus like the tickets anyway for the bus. Um, excuse me, he agreed to give her like my mom gas money at the very least, right? So she was out of her time for no real profit to her, but he saved some money because the gas money was cheaper than the bus ticket, and so he wanted to meet up like closer to his house because again he's not trying to be put out, and I knew I'm already asking my mother to do something where she's not benefiting or gaining in any way. So I was like, with her I was like, we'll meet halfway. And so it was my understanding with her that we would meet halfway because I'm the person in between the both of them trying to make this happen for me, right? But also trying to make sure that it's fair for everybody. And I feel like that's the difference between me and my Taurian energy and him and his Libran energy. Because him and his Libran energy, it's like, this is what I want, F everybody else, honestly. And me and my Taurian energy, it's like, this is what I want, but I also want to make it at least enjoyable or less of a hassle for everybody else, right? It's like, this is what I want, but I want to make it the least intrusive for other people as I can. And he doesn't care how intrusive it is for other people. So I didn't tell him until the night before that we weren't meeting in the spot that he wanted to reach, or that he wanted to meet. We were meeting in the spot that was halfway. And then he was like, what? He got upset. He was like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, because we were talking about it with his girlfriend there. I knew her through the phone for like 2 to 3 years before I met her in person. And he's the type of person, he will talk about you like you're crazy. And first he'll drive you crazy. Then he'll talk about you like you're crazy. And then, because we were talking about something, because we have, I can stand him for a certain amount of time. We found out that like 3 to 4 days is our limit of absolute peace. On the 5th day, he starts to poke. On the 6th day, I start to react. And on the 7th day, it's been too much time together. And so he was on the phone before his girlfriend arrived. He was on the phone like, oh yeah, Patrick this, Patrick that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, to me, it's crazier to me that you would purposefully upset me. And when you don't get a reaction out of me, you keep purposefully picking at me. And then when you finally get a reaction, it's like, oh, there he goes. There he goes. I'm like, I lasted 2 full days with him poking at me, y'all. That's a record for me. It's a record. And then his girlfriend comes, and she's like, oh, he literally does this to everybody. I'm like, because he literally made me think. He didn't make me think it was me, but he tried to spin that narrative that it was me, but he literally does the same thing to everybody. We went to London, and we were at Hyde Park. And then we went from Hyde. No, was that when we were at Hyde? No, we were at what's the place where Buckingham. We were at Buckingham Palace, or in the Buckingham area, and we were going to either Hyde Park or the London Museum. I can't remember. And it was like a 40-minute walk. And he was like, "Oh, we could take the train, or we can take the underground, or we could just walk there, and it's like an 18-minute walk." And I was like, you know what? I'm on vacation in a new country. I want to see the city, so I don't mind walking. It's a 40-minute walk. It was Black Friday. I remember it was Black Friday because there were sales advertised in some of the stores we went through. It's not Oxford. It might be Oxford. I can't remember. And they had like Black Friday sales, but no Thanksgiving the day before, so I was confused. But I was like, work. And then we get home and he's talking to his girlfriend on the phone. He's like, yeah, I lied to Patrick. It was like a 40-minute walk, but I told him it was 18 minutes because I knew if I told him it was 40 minutes, then he wouldn't have walked. Like, that's who he is. And so I did it to him one time, and then I brought it up, and I was like, Sunkop, that's his name, I guess. I was like, you literally do this to everybody. And he was like, no, I don't. We agreed. I said, us agreeing to something is not you making the decision and then forcing other people to go along with it. Like, that's not reaching an agreement. And that was a long story to say that, to me, through my experience with this one person in particular, who just so happens to be a Libra sun and moon, who I feel is a fair... Okay. It's one Libra. But it's very much so that, like as a Taurus, I'm more nurturing. The Earth, the feminine side of Venus is like, this is what I want, yeah, sure. But, I want us to all be comfortable. That masculine side of Venus, that air side, she only cares about herself. And so, where am I going with this? With the Wheel of Fortune, something needs to change. Something needs to give if you want things to change. And then we have the root and the heart, right? So again, it's like, I don't know, there's just this energy here of needing to create spaces where you can feel free to be yourself so you can discover more of who you are. And that's that. Sounds like manipulation. Exactly. Exactly. That's why I'm like, girl, that's that's why we fight so much. That's honestly why I'm like, I don't need friends. Like, I've literally told him to his face, all you do is take. You don't give anything to me. You're not considerate. You don't care about anyone outside of yourself, and you're disrespectful of my time. You lie to me. He'll be like, I'll be like, hey, like, are we watching a show today? And he'd be like, yeah, like, we'll watch it today. And so I would go down to his room, and he would be working on homework, which is fine. And then the night passes and we didn't even watch the show. And I'm like, well, if we weren't going to watch it, or if you still had stuff to do, you could have told me that instead of having me just sitting in here. And he's like, oh, well, you weren't doing anything anyway. It was like, I can be doing nothing in my own room where there's stuff I actually want to do. So I told him, like, I was like, these are the things that you do. I'm like, I'm not friends with people like this. I don't want people like this in my life. And I'm not too keen on giving people like this my time. If all you're going to do is take from me, I don't need you. If you're not giving anything back to me, I don't need you. And I don't want you in my life. And I don't care what you've done. And so now the Libra in him would be like, oh, well, when we went to London, who took you to London? Who took you to London? I'm like, girl, you did one thing for me. He going to be saying London till the day till we owe he gonna be talking about London. And I'm like, and then that wasn't even you, that was your brother. Your brother was the one that we both inconvenienced, right? We both inconvenienced his brother by being there. And he's like acting like he did it. I'm like, boy, I don't need friends like you. But yeah, I mean, he is a Libra, and Libra is the legal system, so hey. But I just straight up told him, I was like, And then his sister was like, you two argue like a married couple. I was like, oh my gosh. It's true, but I love him. He has a special place in my heart because I just got to accept, like I said, we can get 3 to 4 good days, 5 to 6 if we're stretching it, but by 7, we need to be apart. We need to be apart. Okay. But getting back into this, so we have Libra, we have Taurus. Libra and Taurus is 2 and 7. That's also the space of us and other people. Libra and Taurus in conjunct. That's interesting. Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we kind of sort of butt heads sometimes. I'd say we have a like-dislike relationship, primarily on my part, because like I like him most of the time, I dislike him sometimes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he's fairly cool. There are just things about him that I don't like. Like one of the things about, never mind, it ain't about, this ain't about all that. We have the 2 and the 7, so this is the house of, it's like the house of self, but it's the material self. It's the comfort, the house of comfort and possessions and wealth and accumulation. And then we have the house of legality, relationships, partnerships, friends and enemies. And we have Venus at the intersection. Venus right now is in Gemini. And it's going to be moving into Cancer here pretty soon. And so with Venus being in Cancer, it's going to square Libra, but sextile Taurus. And so it's like with the square, that's it's an element of tension between what Venus wants to have for herself and what Venus gives to others. But then what Venus wants to have for herself, here comes this sextile with Taurus that's giving her the opportunity. And Taurus and Cancer are like the food sign, they're the eating signs. They're like the cozy signs, right? They're very like nurturing, right? Taurus and Libra, or Taurus and Cancer. And so there's this opportunity to sort of really go into the self but there's also this need to balance it with other people. And it's interesting because of the cards that I just pulled about when it comes to like kind of sort of prioritizing the self more than we prioritize the relationships that we have with other people, to the point where maybe it's like now we have to build bridges because we burned them. We have to rebuild or try to rebuild bridges because we burned them in the past. Or we're in this space of accepting sort of the role that we played in our own unhappiness, and whether we'll accept that or not. But honestly, with this, it's like you have to accept it within yourself in order to get it from other people. And that's the way it's always been. And I think it's also interesting that we have the root and we have the heart here, because the root is more grounded in the self and us taking care of ourselves and our own needs. And the heart is more like what other people may need from us, right? And so, yeah, there's this balance between the self and others, being comfortable within the self, comfortable in a physical and emotional way, and the mental of engagement, the mental aspects of interpersonal engagement. And honestly, with this Wheel of Fortune, it's interesting that it wasn't necessarily Cancer season, or maybe for some of us it could have been Cancer season. But it's interesting that it's coming up like now, where it's like, quite frankly, it's like there are certain like people, situations that we shouldn't be giving energy to, that we continue to give energy to, and we encounter frustration, upsetness, and negative feedback. Or it's about learning healthier boundaries. Like I told that whole long story about my Libran friend. Um, like I learned the last time that like 3 to 4 days were good. 5 to 6 is when he starts to push it. By day 7 is when I snap. Or not snap, but by day 7 is when I say something. And then it creates these like awkward ish moments that don't need to be there. Because again, it's like I still enjoy his company, but and like he literally said, because I was like, "You're my friend." No, what first he was like, "If I'm too nice to you, then you'll get used to it." And I'm like, "Well, you're my friend, so I don't see what the problem is with me getting used to you being nice." But also, when we first met, he did, in some indirect ways, tell me his experiences with other people and how that left him feeling. And one of the things, speaking of Libras and legality, one of the things that he made me agree to is like, if I open up to you and if I'm vulnerable with you, then you have to promise that, like, if I do something or say something to upset you, then you'll tell me and you won't just like leave. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Like, to me, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. And it's not like I intended on, like, just disappearing. But there was one day, because there's a lot of cultural differences between us, and differences in the way that we were raised. And he was actually one of my first experiences. He was literally my first experience with going from being friends with someone to not being friends with someone to being friends with someone again. Like, before I met him in 2016, if I reached the point where I was done being your friend, we were done being friends forever. And I didn't care what happened. I didn't care how bad I felt or how much I missed you. It's like, I'm going to get over it and my life will continue moving. So he's the first person I actually like sort of like reached back to, talking about burning bridges and stuff like that. So it's all applicable, I guess. So take the energy in whatever way it applies to your situation, or keep the stories in mind in the coming days. I don't know. Um, but yeah, so it was like a misunderstanding. It was a cultural misunderstanding the first time. And he was like, so he couldn't understand why what transpired made me as upset as it did. And him being the selfish butthole Libra that he is, not Libra, him being the selfish butthole person that he is, I was telling him in the moment why I was upset. But he didn't think that he had done anything to upset me. So instead of listening to me in that moment, he dismissed me. And that's one thing that I don't play. My Taurus moon is in my first house. So if anyone is dismissive of my emotions or how I feel, girl, it's like, it's fine. I don't need you. You don't need me. Boom. I'll move on. I'm good. Like, that's kind of sort of like the quickest way to like lose me as a person in your life is to dismiss my feelings and emotions. Uh, quite frankly. But that's also another reason why I don't necessarily go to people when my emotions are raw, because I know I'm like that. Anyway, and I was like, I literally told you when this was happening, and I tried to correct you, and you were acting like you were above it. So that's why I got mad, and I was like, you know what? I don't need you in my life. I don't want people in my life who aren't going to listen to me. I don't need people in my life who aren't going to listen to me, and I'd rather be alone than have people in my life like that. I'm no like, I I have no qualms with ending up by myself, and I'm not the type of person. I'm not so Libra, because I do got a little bit of Libra in my chart. You know, one of my sign rulers is in Libra, and I have two Taurian placements in my chart, and Venus is my ruling planet. So, you know, but I'm not so, and I'm a Pisces, which is also like a social sign. I got enough social in my chart and enough antisocial in my chart, but what I'm not going to do is, out of a fear of loneliness, tolerate people who I don't like. I'm not that person. I'd rather be alone. I'd rather be alone. My moon is in my first house. My Taurus moon is in my first house. I'm good. I got me. Anyway, and that's why I've told him like several times. I'm like, you're selfish. You don't care about anybody else. And all you do is take, and you never give anything. And I don't need people like that in my life. But the first time, again, he didn't understand that I was trying to tell him why I was upset. So he was like, I made you promise that you wouldn't just leave, and you left. So we ended up reconciling. You got no Libra. I have no Virgo. I got everything but Virgo on my chart. But I got a Virgo best friend. I got a few Virgo best friends. So if you're still here, Virgo best friend, I'm going to go ahead and do these for you. After I get these separated, I'm going to go ahead and do these for you. Because apparently that last deck had cards missing. I said, what? How I get cards missing? Missing where? When that happened? Here's that Knight of Swords. Is that the Knight of Swords? No, that's the Knight of Wands. One second. You still here? Okay. Girl, you who I'm talking about. You who I'm talking about. You're my Virgo best friend. I actually have another Virgo best friend, and my dad's a Virgo. I get along with Virgos. I love Virgos. To I was like, wow, I really had so many Virgo friends. Some Virgos. Hashtag not all Virgos. Let me stop. 4K Justice. Okay. Hey, that's interesting. The Wheel of Fortune is the last major out. Okay. Wheel of Fortune is the last major. The Queen of Swords this time is the last court. It was the Queen of Wands last time. And the Nine of Cups. So, wish fulfillment with this Wheel of Fortune, but it's going to require you to sort of speak your truth with the Queen of Swords. If you don't, like, you have not because you ask not. Seeking you shall find, right? Oh. Oh, okay. I missed the thing where you said you were Virgo. Is that it? I think I knew that. I'm pretty sure I knew that. Virgo. I'm a Pisces. Pisces with Taurus, Moon, and Rising. And then I have two Taurian placements and two Capricorn placements, but no Virgo. And I have a first decan Taurus placement and a third decan Taurus placement, and then second decan Capricorn placements. So that's like the Taurus decan of Taurus, the Capricorn decan of Taurus, and then the Taurus decan of Capricorn. Nothing in Virgo. I don't even get a third decan Capricorn or a second decan Taurus to give me some like access to Virgo. But my Earth sign would be Virgo because my sun is in Pisces and the Earth is on the opposite side of the sun in the zodiac. So that's something, right? All right. Do you have a question? Or you just want like, oh, well, nope, we just going with it. Ooh. So you're sitting at the Two of Pentacles, and the Two of Pentacles is the elf, which is interesting. And it's also Capricorn energy. So it's like there's a transitionary period. It's a liminal space. It's a world between worlds. And I feel like with it being the elf, you may not necessarily... Oh, girl, this is a full-grown elf. I'm thinking of like a Santa elf. I was like, you may not necessarily feel like you're up to the challenge of Aquarius. I love Aquarian energy. How did I forget that? So this, like, at first I was like, you may not necessarily feel up to the challenge to enter into this new sort of area. Sure, we'll take it. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's actually really interesting. Um, you know, so you may not necessarily feel up to the challenge, or this is actually kind of sort of like with this being an elf with the Two of Pentacles energy. It's a little bit. It's giving me Pisces vibes because it's an elf and it's high fantasy, but because of the bow that it's holding, it's giving me vibes of Sagittarius, and then Pisces and Sagittarius intersect with the planet co-ruler Jupiter. Jupiter is the energy of the Wheel of Fortune. It's an energy of expansion, good fortune, and good luck. And so again, it's like with these two worlds, there may have been a world that had less fortune and abundance in it, and there's this world of more fortune and abundance in it, and you're kind of sort of in this in-between space, maybe not necessarily knowing how to bridge the gap between the two. And with this elf firing this arrow, it's kind of sort of about having a singular vision. But with this King of Swords energy, I think it's going to require you to not necessarily be that Libra that we just talked about so much. Aquarius, King of Swords, Aquarius, Aquarian moon. You have a moon in Aquarius. It's probably going to be you speaking to your emotions, speaking the things that you actually really want, and no longer sort of being subjected to the ebb and flow of life. We're going to see what the major is that comes out for you. But I feel like with Virgo energy and with Pisces energy, Virgo and Pisces is the axis of servitude. And so we talked about how Libra, well, maybe I didn't, but Libra can be a martyr, but I feel like with Pisces and Virgo, it's a mystery, so we'll see what that is. With Pisces and Virgo, it's like you run the risk of delaying your own happiness for other people. It's like you do more for other people than you do for yourself. And if what you're doing for other people calls you into a space outside of the space that you want for yourself, then it creates friction. And this King of Swords is saying that, especially since you literally just said your moon is in Aquarius, since you offered that information, and then here we have a card of Aquarius. Also, the star was at the top of the deck that I just put away, Aquarius. Talking about, wish fulfillment with that star linked to Aquarius, and you being in this world between worlds with the Two of Pentacles, elf. It's like, am I real? Am I real? Am I valid? Do the things that I want for myself matter? Oh, wow, girl, getting back into that Venus energy. So for you, I feel like the side of that story, again, it's about maybe instead of like, I feel like the way I initially told it was being more self-centered, but on the opposite side of that, it's being other centered to the point where you don't do anything for your life. And I think with the Two of Pentacles and the King of Swords, it's kind of sort of asking at what point are you going to start living your life the way that you want to live your life? And are you going to have the courage to speak it? The King of Swords is a Viking in this deck. And Vikings are, like, we know them for pillaging and plundering, but they're also explorers of the great unknown. And so it's like, well, we'll see what this is. I feel like it's all possible for you. It's all possible, but it's going to require you to really look at what you want to do and begin to put as much effort into doing that for yourself as you would into doing something for somebody else. And again, I feel like it's the lesson, or one of the lessons of a Pisces or a Virgo, being the axis of servitude of doing for yourself as much as you do for others. It's a lesson of self-love. And the more you come into that, the closer to that world you'll sort of be drawn into. And then we have, believe it or not, that Wheel of Fortune. That Jupiterian energy that I was feeling. I literally said it's Jupiter, the Wheel of Fortune, and then out comes what? The Wheel of Fortune. You literally have, it's like, so in the SKT, and since you're my friend, I'm going to go ahead and pull one for you. Because the Two of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune came out at the same time. And in this deck, the Two of Pentacles is the Nocturne. And it's that space of a harmonious, with Libra, it's the space, everything is connecting and wrapping around itself. I love that. It's the space of a harmonious transition between two worlds. It's almost like, who is this? The Giver. The Six of Pentacles, the Giver. Ain't that you? Ain't that Pisces, the Givers? The Giver is just, randomly there. But in the Two of Pentacles here, there's the North Node and the South Node. And the North Node Pentacle is surrounded by the Wheel of Fortune. And the South Node Pentacle is surrounded by the Wheel of Fortune, but it's in reverse. And so that further amplifies, we're sort of coming into this space, a new space, into a new world. And I just want to grab one of these. Actually, I'll grab two of these, and I'll do an I Ching for you. I'm excited. But yeah, with that Wheel of Fortune, it's like you have everything, all of the opportunity. If only you have the strength and the courage and the bravery to ask. But maybe more so than ask, girl, demand. Oof. Oh. I've never seen you like upset. Like I've seen you upset, but like mad. I've never seen you like mad in my life, I don't think. And this is interesting. Okay. Who is this? The Queen of Wands. The Golden Shield. When did you flip over, girl? Okay. So the Golden Shield, I just saw her the other day. And the Golden Shield, she came out with the Giver. So I'm actually going to put her back because she may have been left over from the Giver. But the Golden Shield came out with the Giver. And the first card that came out, the major for that was, it was the Giver, the Golden Shield. The Sun card was on the back of the deck, I believe. Because I had to flip it over. I can't remember what no, wait, it was, I'm pretty sure it was the Star. It was the Star that had the Sun on the back and the Emperor. And then it was the Giver, and then it was the Golden Shield over here. And the cross of the sun was a key theme there. And the Mystic Rose was a theme there. And so again, it's like everything that you need, you just need demand it. And I think you need to, it feels like demanding, maybe because of the energy that you're in. Or who you have been. I don't necessarily think, like I said, it's like if you look at Venus from the outside, you may think that she's vain and superficial, but anything that Venus demands, she deserves. And so it may not necessarily be demanding. It could just be asking for what you honestly deserve, going after it, allowing yourself the opportunity to go after it, and not settling for anything less. I don't know. Okay, so let's do this again. We'll do it 2 more. Okay, well. Ooh, girl! The Knight of Cups. Okay, so I'm going to ask for one more jumper. The Knight of Cups, you always got. It's like every time I pull cards for you, the lover is right there. And I'm always confused. And it's like it comes out of nowhere. And then here out jumps this Knight of Cups, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to give it 2 more, and then I'll just, take the top and the bottom. I know this Knight of Cups ain't coming by itself. What's coming out with this? Okay, there we go. The Two of Wands. I love that. Bottom of the deck over here is the Ace of Pentacles. Is that whole new world where you're stuck between the two right here. I love it. So the Knight of Cups and the Two of the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands, you can see, oh, it's Aries energy. That's cardinal fire. That's you, like I said, it's going after everything that you want. It's like you always have this energy. It's like every time I pull cards for you, it's like you have this energy, like kind of sort of waiting for you to see it, waiting for you to be bold enough or adventurous enough to really claim it. And through the brief moment, like we honestly, like we do not talk as much as we should. But one of the things that I really love about talking to you here lately, and it's like you are reaching the point where you're not giving, like you're reaching the point where you're no longer overexerting yourself in situations where you're not appreciated, and in places that don't serve you, in places that will in some ways demean you, in some ways demand so much from you. I know, right? I still need to village your visit. I still need to visit your village. I almost said village or visit again. I'll probably be on after this because I need to update my game and stuff. But anyway, it's like I can see you coming into this space where you realize where you're not being appreciated. It's like you're not being appreciated enough for people to show you how much they value you, maybe necessarily. But it's like they know what you bring to the table, but they don't want to accommodate you for it, compensate you. They don't want to compensate you for it sort of an equal portion. And so I feel like, I know you're coming into this space where you're like, you know what? I'm not going to feel bad for taking a me day. I'm not going to feel bad for caring for me. I'm not going to feel bad for not giving so much in areas where I'm not fully appreciated, where, it's like, it's weird to say that you're not appreciated because I feel like your impact and your presence definitely is. But again, it's like you're not compensating me for what I'm doing. It's not equal. And so with the Knight of Cups and with the Two of Wands in both the Ram and this horse, the Knight of Cups is the only unicorn in the deck, by the way. And it's the twin horse to the horse of death. And so it's the twin to the horse of transformation. But the Knight of Cups a lot of times brings us something that brings us a sort of emotional fulfillment. But again, it's going to require you to sort of maybe go beyond, plus ultra. I don't even know if you've seen MHA. That's how much that we haven't really talked lately. I'm pretty sure you have seen it. This is that plus ultra energy. But to come into this brand new world over here that you can't see, there we go, with that Ace of Pentacles. Where's my phone? Ooh! Girl, I'm throwing it apparently. I'm gonna read and see what the I Ching for these two are. Give me a few seconds. I don't know. It's just like, this energy is always just like, whenever you are ready to claim it, really, it's like it's right there for you. And that's why I'm like, there's this like expansive, like Piscean, Sagittarian, Jupiterian energy. And then the whole gosh darn Wheel of Fortune comes out, which is the card associated with Jupiter. And again, it's like, today is the What's that song? Today is the first day of the best days of your life. I used to love that song. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm sure you know that song, girl. Um, Knight of Cups, Knight of Chalices. This is water and thunder. This is thunder over water, so don't get zapped. Or, not necessarily you getting zapped, but somebody else may get zapped. What happens when a Virgo decide that they finally had too much? Okay, so this is number 3, which is initial challenge. And I love that because the 84 Libra turned over to the 24, which was the 3 of essences. And so we'll see. So the 3 is initial challenge, difficulty at the beginning, and this is tune. Girl, you know Chinese, so maybe you know what this means. Tune. Oh, wait, there we go. It's kind of sort of low key giving me. I know it's Naka. Chu. I think it's Chu in Chinese. It's Naka in Japanese. But, but it like has the tail of the 7. So it's like it's giving me like a Naka or a Chu type of vibe. But I think that tail is associated with 7. I can't remember. And so it's like the 7 inside. 7 is a very sort of like spiritual number. It's a number of grander understandings. And a certain element of devotion, I guess. So, a blade of grass will push against its obstacle when it sprouts out of the earth. The first meeting of heaven and earth is often beset with difficulties. Girl, the first meeting of heaven and earth is often beset of difficulties. 2 of Pentacles, between worlds. Okay. Pushing up into the heavens. Okay, Virgo, I see you, best friend. Oh, I remember the one time I heard you be upset. I was like, oh, snap. Oh, she got a fire in her. Where was that Mars? Gemini, maybe? I don't remember. Oh, see, I knew you would know. Girl, so to Collector Store. So, I love participation. So, with this Knight of Cups, I feel like, I don't know why my left arm is feeling like, I don't know. But with the Knight of Cups, it's like there's a certain amount. It's like you've been collecting, storing all of this good karma, all of this good dharma, but you're not utilizing it in some way to get what you want for you. Your heart's desires, what you truly desire. And I feel like that's why there's this always, it's like there's always this energy, like, and it's not even outside. It's like right there. There's always this energy right there of like something really, really, really good because you've dedicated so much time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears for like so many other people outside of yourself. But it's like, when are you going to turn that around and give it to yourself or allow yourself to get it? Thank you. She knows what it means. And again, that's the 7 inside. That's the divinity, that spirituality with the number 7 inside of you, that I feel like it kind of sort of, it's like, I don't know if you ever have those moments when you're like, I'm too good. I do too much good. I've done too much for other people to not have it come back for me. Like, I'm too good of a person. I've been too good, and not in like an egoic, egotistical way, not in a way where you're not seeing your contributions in a way that you've actually done it. It's not like that. It's like you recognize and you realize, like, I'm too good of a person to keep, like, there has to be something more for me. It's kind of sort of that energy. Oh, girl. Oh, I almost feel the tears welling up. I ain't getting into it. I'm not getting into it. You know. You know. And there was a lot that you were there for, and it will come back to you. Goodness. Let's finish, shall we? A blade of grass will push against its obstacle when it sprouts out of the earth. The first meeting of heaven and earth is often beset with difficulties. It is a time of personal growth. For now, you must store, there you go with that tune. You must store your energy, build momentum slowly and steadily. And prepare for the sudden breakthrough. Sudden breakthrough. I love that. That's also the Wheel of Fortune. You, what? Hold up, wait. And prepare for the sudden breakthrough. You have not yet found your path. You still see too many possibilities. The lack of clarity is the initial hindrance. Do not grasp at the first solutions that present themselves. Wait until the matter becomes clear to you. So don't even try to ask me. I don't think you will, but don't even try to ask me, well, what's it going to look like? When is it coming? Anything like that. Because it's like, wait until it makes itself clear to you and then go forward. Also, like, girl, now the Wheel of Fortune is in reverse, but I was going to put it in reverse to show you. Like I said, like, you've been through the ringer. You've put in the blood, sweat, and tears to get whatever it is that you want. Honestly, you've put in more than you need to. But again, it's like, stay in the mindset of knowing what you deserve and not accepting anything less. And if you need to take time for yourself, don't feel bad about taking time for yourself. If you need to do something for yourself, don't feel bad, because I feel like the more comfortable you get in the energy of not feeling bad for doing something for yourself, it's like it's putting you in the space to be able to accept whatever this is. I don't want to say jail, but it's like a get out of jail free card. It's that sudden breakthrough. It's like, and I guess I don't want to like overhype it, potentially, but so much of what will truly fulfill you, so much of what you've been desiring, it will find its way to you at the same time that you find your way to it. And I feel like, again, it's like with the whole everything I just talked about, it's like the more comfortable you can get with speaking to everything that you want, verified by, it's like if you ever feel like you're demanding something, and I don't know if this is you or not, but if you ever feel like you're asking for something that is more than what you've experienced to this point, or if you ever feel like you're asking for something that's too big, or if you're ever presented with an opportunity where you're like, if I do this, then it's like it's gonna set somebody else back, or if I do this, I'm gonna have to sacrifice giving to something else or someone else. Whenever you feel like you're demanding too much, remember how much you've gone through, how much you've done, and how much you deserve it. Remember how much you deserve it, right? Because I feel like there may be a like, oh, I can't accept this. Oh, this is too much. Like, oh, like I can't because of this and I can't because of that. Like, remember how much you deserve this when it comes in, and it will be clear to you. So maybe, like I said, if you have to reject an opportunity, or if you have to reject a possibility because it will put you back in that space of being overworked and underappreciated, undervalued, and all kinds of stuff like that, I feel like there would be something more suited and fitting for you. Because again, you have the Ace of Pentacles right here. Where this 2 is the in-between, you have this right here. You end with the Wheel of Fortune here. You have the 1 right here that you're going to be going to. But in this in-between moment, maybe also ask yourself what you really want. Right? And maybe with this Wheel of Fortune, also at the same time, begin to take steps towards what it is that you really want to do. And you may be met with less resistance than you think. And you may also find that maybe you just so happen to be in the perfect area to there's a certain amount of serendipity here where it's like maybe you find yourself in the perfect area for this to work or something like that. Something like that. Ooh, I love it. I love it. I feel like it's a lot of good stuff. It's gonna require you to continue all of the stuff that you've been doing in the meantime for you. Continue that. And maybe do a little bit more. Nah, I don't think you necessarily have to do a little bit more. But again, when this opportunity comes, just know that you deserve it. So that's what I got for you. What's at the top of the deck? That Ace of Swords, girl. Ace of Swords, Ace of Swords, Ace of Swords. But this Queen of Swords, this King of Swords down here, it tells me that you already know. Sort of. So yeah, this is not yours, Zelda. This is for Ericsonia. I think the more we plan, the more the wheel spins out of control. Honestly, it depends on the situation, and it depends on how you spin the wheel. It depends on the level of planning that you do. So I would say yes, but I would also say not always. And especially like I feel like it's possible, and I feel like for this situation in particular, it's like there are moments where you get to be greedy. There are moments where you get to be selfish, especially if you've been overly giving to someone else. It's like when you rack up that much good karma, when you rack up that much good dharma, when you've sacrificed enough to get it, it's like whatever you want is yours. But I think there is, in this situation, in your situation, Eric, I think there is a need for you, not necessarily a need, but just like, and not necessarily planning, but it's like looking at the things that you actually want. You know, maybe if there's an area that you want to be in, or if there's a certain type of work that you want to do, if there's something recreational that you want to do, if there are like aspects of the area, maybe just, I don't know, I feel like now would be a time to be a little more Pisces and to daydream and to, I don't know how Virgo you are when you get into that Pisces daydream, but maybe leave the details behind and get more into the fantasy, because I feel like the logistics will kind of sort of work themselves out. Or it's like be Virgo when the opportunity comes, but be Pisces when you dream it up. Because whatever you dream up right now, I feel like, again, you have so much good stored up. It's like, how do you want to spend it? How do you want to spend it? How do you want to spend it? Right? But again, there's a certain amount of love and a certain amount of self-sacrifice that you got to leave behind to claim this. So that's what I got for you. That's what I got for you. I hope it works. And Zelda, you said you want a card. I'll pull an SKT since I already have it. I'll pull you an SKT. A card for you, and I think you said your DM, because things have been rough in the past few days. Oh, no problem, Zelda. But you said you want a card, so I will get you a card. You said the past few days have been rough. And I guess I could scroll up real quick. You said something about your DM, right? Oh my gosh, all these cards just fell on the floor. We'll take them. Well, we'll look at them. Yeah, we'll take them. Okay, so it's like 4 cards. And I'm going to scroll up to see what you said again. Bottom of the deck is the Dynasty. I don't know if it's in reverse or upright. I don't really have reversals in this deck. The bottom 3 cards, it's the Dynasty, the 4 of Pentacles, and the Devil. So we'll see about that. Let's see. Why am I grabbing my phone? I like them. You want to know what's going on with your DM. Okay. This is a little bit outside of my typical wheelhouse, but we have the Queen of Swords, or the Queen of Wands. The Queens could be more defensive than anything in this deck. The Queen of Wands, the Golden Shield. Hold on, let me move these down here. Or let me just like, I don't know. Yeah, let me shuffle that out before I do this. Okay. Yeah. I just want to clear these before I get into this. Ooh. Something almost came out. I was like, what? Alright. So we got the Queen of Wands. If I put it this way, that makes more sense. You can barely see it. The Scarlet Shield. We have the Initiate, the Two of Swords, and the Knight of Swords. So the Queen of Wands, again, that was linked to the Six of. It came out with, I believe it was the Star, the Six of Orbs, the Giver, and then that came out at the end. So the first time I saw that, it was linked. I was like, why is the Star crying? She was pouring out two of the cups. I was like, ooh. And at first I thought it was Temperance. I was like, ooh, this Temperance card is pouring all the water out, just on the ground. One cup to the water, one cup to the. It's like a cup to the ground for the homies, and a cup to the water for the ancestors. I guess. I don't know. But the Queen of Wands stands at the gate of fire. And the gate of fire is the gate of it's the gate of desire, but it's also the gate of vision. And so with the Two of Swords also being here and the Two of Swords being blind, oops. The Knight of Swords has fallen. Something about the Knights of Swords, first it was gone in the other deck, and that's why I'm using these. Now it's whatever. The Knight of Swords has fallen. So maybe somebody was going to speak, but not no more. But anyway, in this Two of Swords, you can see the blindfold. And then we have the shield at the gate of vision. So blocked vision is one thing that I'm getting. And with the Initiate here, it's like everything. I guess, like, what's the context of your question? I should clarify. Like, are you just asking, like, where this DM is, like, what they're going through, or like what's the context? Because I see blocked vision, I see indecision, and I see new beginnings. But also somebody asleep on this new beginning. And the Knight of Swords has fallen somewhere. We got to go looking for the Knight of Swords again. Because, hold up. What's happening to all these Knights of Swords? Goodness. Where did it go? Where did she go? Okay. Anyway, we'll look for it later in a second. So if we're just going general, so there are two male queens and two female kings in this deck, associated with the elements that they're in. So the king and the queen of fire are both males. The kings and the queens of fire and swords are both males. The king and the queens of earth and water are both females. And so there was a thing about this being a male in a space that's traditionally feminine. But also, there was this weird, like, when I was trying to comprehend it. Okay. Well, there's a blocked vision here. So there's this new beginning that's possible. In this egg, it's like you have everything that you need to start. The guardian, if you don't start the journey, then it remains asleep. And then there's a blocked vision here. There's blocked vision here because there's a shield at the gate of desire, at the gate of vision. So maybe also at the same time, it's like, I don't know like how spiritual he is, but this could be things. It's almost like there's this like underlying Seven of Cups type of feeling, and this shield is like it's preventing him from going down some paths that may not be his. Now, I don't know if this is like upright or in reverse for him, because I feel like it depends. It depends on the space that he's in. He thinks you're a Leo. You think by accident he's a Taurus. Okay. You don't know what you don't know just popped into my mind. You don't know what you're capable of, and you don't know what we protect you from. Like these would all be things like addressed to him, right? He doesn't know what he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's fully capable of, and he doesn't know what he's being protected from. And I'm almost getting a feeling of protection, honestly. Honestly, what this energy has given me, it's like there's like this there are certain pathways that he's being discouraged from going down. It's like there are these like negative synchronicities. Like, why does it like every time I try to go to this certain area, my car breaks down, but if I'm going anywhere else, it's fine. Or it's like I'm not getting my notifications when it comes to this person, but it works like my phone works for everyone else. Or it's like every time I try to go to this place, it's like it's packed or it's full and I can never get inside type of energy. Like it feels like there are these semi hard blocks that are being sort of that are popping up to again prevent him from going down these certain pathways that aren't necessarily for him. And with this initiate and with this Two of Swords, it's like what's being sort of told to him, I guess, right now is that like if you go down this pathway, you get no support from us. Basically. It's like how I think there's this element of protection, but protection within a bubble, right? It's like as long as you're being aligned, then you're protected. But if you act out of line, spiritual protection does not the basis of spiritual protection does not work to safeguard you from consequences. And I think he knows that. There's something where it's like throwing caution to the wind. If he chooses to do it. I don't know if he will or not, though. Because he's in this Two of Swords spot. And then the Knight of Swords, which would have been the action, which would have been speaking, it's disappeared into the nether. It fell off of the table, and I'm going to have to find it. The bottom of the deck is the Dynasty. And so this Dynasty could be a certain element of familial influence. Um, or it could be sort of the path that was laid out before him. The path laid out before him could also be how he was sort of set up to go down a certain way, but he may not necessarily want to go that way. Honestly, whatever this person is, I feel like this person is going through a lot, and they're not necessarily speaking on it. But that may be the reason why there may not necessarily be too much outside movement right now. But I don't know if I'm seeing this person going down the paths that are laid out for them either. honestly, it kind of sort of feels like this person, like your DM, like they might risk it. And it's almost sort of this energy of like feeling unloved and unsupported anyway. Like, I don't know this man. Right. Like, I don't know this man. But with the Ten of Pentacles being, when it came out, I was like, I don't know if this is upright or if it's in reverse. Because the way I was holding the cards in my hand, it was in reverse. And so it could be like not great advice that he's getting from family. It could be a lot of family issues that are preventing things. It could be like, let's say, like everyone in his family, like they're all carpenters for some reason. And so it's like, it's expected for him to be a carpenter, but he doesn't want to be a carpenter. But through some strange twist of events, he finds out that he actually does want to be a carpenter. But the only reason why he didn't want to be a carpenter is because he didn't just want to fall in line with what was expected of him. And so it may be the case that it's like you have to go out and have these experiences where you're not supported. You have to have these experiences where you don't get the sort of the wealth or abundance that you think is coming, in order to find out that the path that you were initially going down is the one that you should have been going down the whole time, potentially. But again, with this Two of Swords, there's so much choice here. I honestly wouldn't know what to say either way. So yeah, I would say honestly, I feel like in this space, I would be like, you might want to go and get clarification from somebody else, or you may just want to wonder. You may want to focus more on yourself. Let's see. We'll do these for you. Let's see. Ooh, what is this? What are these? Are these from here? I think these are here. All of this just like going over there. Um, and the reason why I say that is because like I don't know what this person is gonna do. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna be able to give you. I may not be able to give you in the situation what you're looking for, because honestly, I feel like the Two of Swords here, and with the Knight of Swords again falling off of the table, I don't know what he's gonna do. And I don't even know if he knows what he's going to do, honestly. But with this Two of Swords and this Eye of God up here, I feel like it's like it's not for me to know. And there, ergo, maybe it's not for you to really know, or it's not that it's not for you to know. Again, I'm just going to say I'm not the type of person that really pries into stuff when it comes to stuff like this. And I just feel like, honestly, this is one of those times where a decision, a choice, will set the tone moving forward. Because I feel like with this energy, it's like Spirit has made it pretty clear what he will be supported in and what he won't be supported in. But it's like part of me gets this feeling like he's going to go for it anyway. But then another part of me is like something like he should know better than that. So again, it's like it's up to what he decides, and I don't even know if he knows what he's going to do right now. So okay, no problem. So yeah, and I feel like again, it's like it's one of those areas at the same time where it's like if we don't even know what we would do in a situation, then it's hard to say what we would do. And because the decision that he makes is going to determine whether or not this guardian, this companion wakes up, it's like I feel like there's like this. I feel like if I could sum this up in one way, in one thing, it'd be like he's coming upon maybe a major decision in his life right now. And it seems like he is intuitive enough or open enough to know when he's being pushed in a certain direction by the subtle forces or when he's being deterred from a certain direction by those subtle forces. But as a dude who has made decisions from a not brain decision from a not brain place, I know that there's it's not just a dude thing, it's also a people thing. I know that there are some times where we make decisions where we know we're going to regret them, but we make them anyway. um Yeah, he's fickle. Okay, well then, yeah, maybe that's another reason why. If he's fickle, then maybe that's another reason why. Where he's like, well, I think I want to do this, but I'm not sure. But like, I want this, but I'm not sure. And it's like, it also feels like there's this like, either you continue something that's already being done, or you try to do something that's new for you. And there also needs to. I feel like he's also in this space of where he needs to decide what he really wants for his life. Because again, it was like it's like there's this like I don't want to be a carpenter just because my dad was one and my grandpa was one and his mom was one because her dad gave it to her and all she had was sons or something like that. But then it's like, do I not want to be a carpenter because I don't want to fall in line with everything else? Or do I actually want to be one because it's what I want to do? And do I want this because it falls in line with everything else? Or do I want this because I actually want this? And does it make sense for me to do this in this economy right now? Like, is this something that'll like? There are so many different like I said, it's like I don't know. I don't even know if he knows what he's gonna do at this point. So let's see what's going on down here more for you. There's the Ten of Swords down here, so that's an ending. We have the Page of Cups, which is that satyr energy, and then the Emperor right here. And I did sort of say that these would be more for you down here. Um, and so oh my gosh, we got major, minor, court. We got one major, one minor, and one court card. Interesting. So let's rearrange these to fit this up here. That's already there, so we just need to switch these two. Okay, so he's in this Two of Swords. You're in this Ten of Swords. I feel like you may be in this space where you're ready to go, regardless, because you're like whatever situation or whatever space you're in, you're like I've had enough and I'm ready to move forward. And with the Page of Cups, it's like you want to move forward with this person. And also, I'm assuming that since you're asking about him, you're wanting to move forward with him. And since he's your DM, then you want to move forward with him, right? But what's interesting is this Emperor. And this Emperor is interesting because it's the energy of the Sphinx. And the Sphinx gives a riddle. And most of the times, the riddles of the Sphinx, they're nonsensical. It's something that like it's like what crawls on four legs in the morning, two legs in the afternoon, and three legs at night. It's like what? The answer is like a man because when he's a baby, he crawls on his hands and knees. When he's a toddler to an adult, he walks on two legs, and then in his old age, he has a cane, and the cane is the third leg. Also, maybe something to do with the third leg because that's the second time I'm getting a third leg message. Um, that's what I was talking. Sometimes, we think with our second mind and not the correct mind. As men, also as people, I've done it, and I feel like I'm so like cerebral sometimes. I'm really like, really, Patrick? Like that's the brain we're gonna be thinking with right now. That's what we're gonna be listening to, and then it's like, yes. It's like, okay, well, you shouldn't be doing this, but go ahead and do it regardless. And it's like, okay. And then I'm like, wow, why did I do that? Just like when I went to Taco Bell last night, even though I knew I didn't really want Taco Bell. And then my body was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And then today I remembered, because I saw it, that I left a plate in the microwave that I could have eaten last night. So it's like I already had the food there that I was told to set aside. Because, like, even when I was eating it, my mom was like, well, you don't have to eat it right now. And I was like, yeah, but I already have it. She was like, well, you can put it in the microwave and eat it later. I was like, okay, I could do that. Later came, I got hungry. I forgot about the food in the microwave, and then I went to Taco Bell and got food that I regretted. And it wasn't that it was necessarily bad, but I'm just like, I didn't really need this, and now I feel like a little bloated. It's like, even when I was talking about it, I was like, I don't really want this. But I'm already like getting in the car, so I might as well go there anyway. And then at first I was just gonna get two things, but I ended up getting three things. It's like I already know I didn't really want this, and then I got extra. Why? But anyway, so where you're sort of sitting is this Ten of Swords, Griffin energy, the Page of Cups, the Satyr, and the Emperor Sphinx. Now, the Page of Cups Satyr with his flute, it is a little bit of a sort of enticing type of energy, and it's putting me back in like Hercules. The card underneath the Emperor is Death. So, I mean, you know, the Grim Reaper is sitting under the Emperor. I guess I could do this. Let's do this. And this could be the energy of like, I don't know. Again, it's like the thing about the riddles. Um, Thank you. Um, but it's bringing to mind Philoctetes from Disney's Hercules and how he was chasing after the nymphs, or were they? I think they were nymphs and not dry. Yeah, they were nymphs. And like every time he caught one, they would turn into a tree because they didn't want him. Um, and it's bringing back the story of Daphne and Apollo, where Apollo or Daphne was being chased by Apollo, and Daphne's father was, I think, a river god, and so it turned her into the tree, and Apollo took Daphne got turned into a tree to escape Apollo. And so what Apollo did was he took the laurel branches from the tree, fixed it into the wreath, and began to wear it. And it's like she literally turned herself into a tree to escape you, and then you take this branch from her and you turn it into a crown and you wear it around. And now we associate the laurel with victory. And so again, it's going back to an energy earlier where it was like victory at what cost, though, right? What's being given up? What's being sacrificed? What's sort of like, I don't know. Oh, the card underneath the Emperor, this one? It's the Fool. Sorry. It's the Initiate. I moved it over here so I can line up the majors and the minors. So I guess if I would have kept it here, then it's like we have the Emperor here, which is Aries. We have the Queen of Wands, which is actually a dude, which is Aries. So Aries and Aries energy, interestingly enough. We have the Page of Cups, which is something new, and then the Initiate, the Fool. Excuse me, which is a new beginning. And so I think one of the things it's coming to mind, um, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't potentially guilty of this, but especially in the past, I feel like sometimes when you know someone is capable of more than where they are, And when you can begin to understand that the light that you see this person in may not be a light that they see themselves in because of the situations that they went through in the past, I feel like it becomes a wand or several wands for this person to carry. And then they reach that spot where they come to a 10 of wands. And it's like there's this, regardless of how conscious or not it is, there's like this energetic sort of expectation from you, energetic expectations from other people, and then what they want. And a lot of times, especially if you see something in someone that they don't see within themselves, it may also be because they didn't have anyone there to encourage them to see that within themselves. Maybe they had more people in their life that kind of sort of restricted them, whether consciously or not. But they face more restriction than they face sort of like a call to liberation. And so the odds stick out sometimes. It's you. It's what you know that they're capable of and what you would like to see them become, or what you would like to encourage in them, what you would like to give space within them. And it runs counter everything else. And so it becomes a lot to bear sometimes. And it also adds to the confusion. So, long story short, girl, I don't know. He's going through a lot. He has the potential and the opportunity to come into a lot, but I think he really needs to like be like, what do I want for me? Before I can like think about anybody else or anything else, really. What do I want from me? And who am I? And how do I go about getting it? And then on your side, it's like there's a lot that you're ready to start. I'm actually gonna pull. I want an oracle card for advice because I don't like leaving it like this. Because I'm like, oh. I mean, honestly, I've been in the space lately of like, it'll be whatever it's gonna be, and I know what it's gonna be by the end of it. But all of this in between stuff that I don't know, it's not for me to know, and so. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. For me, it's been really interesting, I guess. But this isn't about me. So let's see. All right, Lord Ganesha, we need some guidance because this is a lot and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So for the person asking, is what just came to my mind. Like for the person asking, okay, for the person asking. Okay, it'd be like super cool if you could just like drop one out and not like 15, you know? And it's also it's not bad, but again, it's like it puts a lot of pressure on things. And I think that's why there's this like this emperor and this death energy over here. There are certain spaces that we kind of sort of have to reach within ourselves. There are certain decisions that we need to make for ourselves. And honestly, it's seeming like if he made whatever decision that he needs to make right now for anyone but himself, it may lead to some blowback later. And so maybe with the Queen of Wands also, like, he may be in an energy of like, I don't know, trying to take care of himself right now. And like going through a lot. Okay. No guidance. Ooh. Well, there's the one. I was like, this is more than one card, and then the one hit the. Okay, interesting. Number 19, spiritual practice is the card that came out. The bottom of the deck is delight. So spiritual practice and delight. This is interesting. I'll read it for you, Zelda, and then we'll see what's up, and we'll end it here. Girl, I did not think it would go like this, but we leave ourselves open. Also, in general, I feel like a lot of people are reaching a space where they need to make choices and they need to make decisions, hopefully for themselves, because even if you're making a decision for someone else because you think it will be happy, or even if you make a decision, I'm smelling like fingernail polish or nail polish remover. Every time I smell it, it smells like acetone. And I asked my mom, like, are you using fingernail polish remover? And she's like, no, I'm painting my nails. I've been smelling like everything lately. I don't know. It smells like fingernail polish. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um Now I'm like smelling the pages of the book. um Oof. I'm too warm for that smell. It's getting too warm for this thing too. My head is starting to sweat. Um oh, I don't know. Okay, let me stop. So we're coming into these spaces where we really need to be making decisions. It's decision making time for a lot of people. And ultimately at the end of the day, we need to be making decisions for us and decisions that will benefit us. And um even if like there are certain decisions that we can make to we can decide to be open and vulnerable. We can decide to be vulnerable and open to allowing certain things to be left open. We can decide to enter collaborative spaces, is what I want to say. We can decide to collaborate with others, but that's as far as our decision goes when it comes to other people. Um, and then they also have to decide to collaborate with us. And if we both decide to collaborate, then we can move forward together. And so there are certain spaces that we don't come into ourselves. But in order to really decide to do something, I think we also need to understand the decisions that that decision also makes, right? Let's say that, like, for whatever reason, if you're lactose intolerant, severely lactose intolerant, and you decide you want to eat some ice cream, you're deciding to take something that will settle your stomach after you eat dairy ice cream, or you're deciding to deal with everything that that ice cream is going to come with. But it's like that energy. Like, you make one decision to make ice cream, but there are also ramifications. This decision, it ripples out, and it comes with a suite of every action. There's a reaction, so it comes with reactions to that decision. And I think that's also sort of like what's happening right now. But whenever you choose to, you're doing your nails. Are you really? That's weird. Cause it just like hit me. I'm like, oh gosh. um, and I was gonna try to go somewhere with that whole like nail painting thing, but I'm like, let me get to this. When you decide to hold a door or a space open for someone else, there are other things that I don't know. We'll just get into spiritual practice because it's like, honestly, trying to get into this, it's like, it's not beyond me, But again, it's like there are so many different potentialities and possibilities right now. It can go literally any way. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I just got a whiff of like fingernail polish, Zelda. Let's not go overboard now. I'm kidding. But yeah, so let's look at spiritual practice. Spiritual practice says a spiritual practice will help you ground your day. What? It may trigger observation and ideas. Oh, it may trigger observation and ideas. Hold up. Let's start this over again. A spiritual practice will help you ground your day. It may trigger observations that lead to life-changing breakthroughs and ideas. Okay. And that's as far as I'm going to read. So there's a need to ground spiritually and to allow these breakthroughs and ideas that come through observation. And that's another thing about this, the gate of observation. That's another thing about this blindfold down here. And that's another thing about this riddle with the Sphinx up here. Observations that lead to breakthroughs and ideas when you are spiritually grounded. And so that's the advice. That's where we leave this. Because again, it's like, who's to say what choices will be made at the end of the day? But everything that we need to know to make the choices that we need to be making right now, we already know. But who's to say that the choice or decision will be made? Because at the end of the day, we have free will and we have free choice. So that's what I have for you, Zelda. I don't know if that was helpful. I feel like if I heard that, that's one of the times where, like, if I pull cards and that happened, I would be like, that is not helpful. But then at the same time, that's when it'd be like, okay, well, live life, Patrick, and you'll find out. For me, it's like one of those types of things. And again, it's like, but honestly, beyond that, it's about, again, like I said earlier, with that Virgo energy and with Pisces energy, it could be so focused on other people through like servitude and stuff like that, that it neglects itself. Who is this? The Four of Cups. Oof. Well, I was just trying to shuffle these out real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so I think there's a need to, it's like there are certain cycles that you've worked through, certain things that you've put an end to, and you're ready to sort of soar in those areas, and you've gotten a sort of fierceness to you. There's like a little bit of a little bit of bite there, because a griffin's talons are sharp. But with that Page of Cups, it's like it's time to change your tune, is what just came to my mind. It's like it's time to change your tune, and then it was also marching to the beat of a drum. But if you're changing the tune, then you're changing the march. And so there may be a bit of a learning period, or a period where you need to listen to the music, to the changed tune, in order to like start marching to it or something. I don't know. Yeah, whatever that is. It's like it's time to change the tune and march to the beat of a new drum. This is way too much. Girl, what's all this? What's all this? We'll take this one right here because it's the only one face down. I'm like, whoa, somebody is about to be like many things. Who this? Oh, it's the Knight of Wands. Oh, I never got the Knight of Swords. I need to look for the Knight of Swords real quick, y'all. But yeah, that's what that is. And then we have the High Priestess, the Knight of Wands, and the Four of Cups. I feel like the High Priestess, the Knight of Wands, and the Four of Cups, this is going to be easy. High Priestess, the Knight of Wands, and Four of Cups. It's like Spirit knows where we are emotionally, and Spirit also knows where it is that we want to go. And so Spirit will be kind enough, benevolent enough, gracious enough to come down and to give us these, albeit challenging situations, these opportunities to grow into who we need to be to fully accept them. Because again, it's like Spirit knows what we're lacking and it knows what we need. But if we're only focused on what we're lacking, and if we're not looking at what we stand to gain from the situations that Spirit puts us in, then we sort of cheat ourselves out of the opportunities that Spirit is giving us, and also we won't grow into the space that we need to be in. So yes, no problem, Zelda. That was a whole bunch of I don't know. Oh, what am I? Where did that Knight of Swords go though? Like honestly, like really, like for realsies, for Rosingtons. 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna find this thing. Hello, hello. Okay, I found it. That was a lot, and I think I like messed up the camera angle and everything. Let me take this back off so I can adjust this. You know what? We ain't even going too much worry about it because it's good enough. That's good enough for MOI, for moi. So I picked up the Knight of Swords actually in reverse. So yeah, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I've already said it all. So I want a final. Oh, okay. That was quick. Oh, look, and it's like standing above the rest. The Page of Pentacles. Okay. So this is going to be a message for the collective of Earth. Oh my gosh, I want to pull some cards for Gaia. Okay, I'm going to pull some cards for Gaia. This is the part where we have fun, right? I don't know if this is going to be a message from Gaia or if it's going to be a message for Gaia. Because if Gaia hit us with a tower, if Gaia hit us with death, I'm just playing. She wouldn't do that. Well, okay, it's not that she wouldn't do that, but she wouldn't like to do that. So, for Gaia, for the lovely lady that gives us literally a home, and literally the air we breathe, and literally the food we eat, and literally everything, pretty much. Let's do something for you or from you, for you or from you. We'll see. And then we're going to set these aside, actually. So that was the final message from these. It was the Four of Wands, the Four of Cups, the Knight of Wands, and the High Priestess. Being that Spirit knows exactly, God knows, the angels know, your ancestors know exactly where you want to be. They know where you are, and they know how to get you there. We just got to trust that they know all that. And then the Moon, no, the Lovers is at the bottom. We have to trust that they know that, and we have to make... It's like they can't tell us what choice to make, but if you really think about it, you should know what choice to make. If you've been making the same choices and it's been leading you to the same places, it may be time to choose something different. So we have this up here, and then we have a few cards. Apocalypse! Why? Why? I was like, ooh, what did I say? If the tower or if death comes out comes the apocalypse. Girl, But after that is this Ten of Pentacles. So, okay. She got a sense of humor, y'all. Or at least we hope. Bottom of the deck is the Three of Cups. The Kindred, which is interesting. I'll put this like this. Oof, girl. The Sharpshooter. The Eight of Wands. The Sharpshooter. And the Eight of Wands. Actually, I'm honestly seeing it is because, like, you see this? The Eight of Wands is shooting over this Knight of Pentacles, over this Apocalypse, and to this Ten of Pentacles. The Sharpshooter is going over all of that. So honestly, the message here is like it doesn't need to be hard, but if it has to be, it will be. It doesn't have to be hard. I don't have to be mean. It's like I don't like being a mean mom, but I will be if I have to be. And you're not supposed to be doing that, so we're gonna take your toys away because you don't know how to be nice. And share, apparently. Why do we teach kids to share when we don't expect adults to? That's what I want to know. Anyway. So we have the Eight of Wands, and I feel like the Eight of Wands, again, it's the capability to sort of, depending on where we put our focus, and if our focus aligns with everything I just said, right, like spirit knowing where we want to go and stuff like that. I didn't put any of these cards away. Oh no, I just pulled these back out so I can get those. I forgot. So I can put these back now. Yeah, so it's like if we align in the proper way, if we see things in the proper way, I feel like we have this ability to navigate this in a way that is a little less chaotic and a little less rambunctious. I don't know why rambunctious is the word that I used, but I guess if we're talking about children, then yeah. And so we have the Knight of Pentacles looking towards this. We have these two ibises, I believe, or pelicans. One's looking in this direction, the other's looking in that direction. And again, it's like there's an energy of like, I don't necessarily want to have to do this. I don't want to have to be the bad parent. I don't want to have to be bad cop. Oof. But there are just certain things that, we shouldn't be entertaining. And I feel like maybe there are certain people who are already over it, but not necessarily over it, but like over it. You know what I mean? And then there are people who are going to go through it. And then there are people who are trying to fly under the radar, but they're going to go through it still. It's almost like, there are people who would try to go underground to escape certain things. But if the consciousness of Gaia lies at the core of the planet, there is no underground. Right? It's all above ground to her. So it's like it all radiates outward from the core. So no matter where you go, you're going to feel it. Even if you try to go under the radar. Let's see. Let's clarify this apocalypse with the Knight of Pentacles. I feel like with the eye sort of being focused on the Ten of Pentacles, again, it's like how Spirit knows what we want, and it will put us through tests and trials to get us to be, so that we make the choices to claim it, so that we feel worthy of it or whatever else. It's like so too does Gaia. She gets sort of like where we want to go with this world. She knows where she wants to go with this world. And she's like, either y'all get on page with me or I will move on without y'all, because humanity isn't something that I necessarily need. I got animals. I got friends. I got friends that respect me. Yeah, with that Eight of Swords. Are these in reverse? Yeah. I'm going to keep that in reverse, though. With the Eight of Swords in reverse, it's like she's in this energy of liberating herself, regardless of if we want to get in line with it or not. And I feel like with Corona and with some other things in the beginning, people were like, oh my gosh, the Earth is trying to kill us. I was like, if Gaia was trying to kill us, we'd be dead, honestly. We'd be dead. The Four of Pentacles, the Conservator, also, look, the High Priestess with the Four of Cups again. The High Priestess with the Four of Cups again. The only thing we're missing is that Knight of Wands. And so, like I said, I think this is clarifying. Like I said, just like how Spirit knows, Gaia knows, and Spirit knows what Gaia wants, and Spirit is going to give Gaia what she wants, just like Spirit is going to try to give us what we want. Here's another card I asked Gaia to not give me. It's fine. Goodness, she ain't playing no games though, high key. And I think that's the one of the messages. It's, we expect for the Earth to bounce back. We expect for Mother Nature to correct itself, and sometimes, the best way to correct certain mistakes is to never make them, or to prevent them from being made. Right? That's why my mom never let us play with Play-Doh, because she knew that she would be the one cleaning it up. And so she was like, no, ain't no play. This was a no Play-Doh household, honestly. And if we came home with Play-Doh, it got taken. Because she knows that she's going to be the one that has to clean it up. Sometimes the best way to correct a mistake is to never make it. And it's like, if we're not conservators, if we're not good stewards of this planet, if we can't love it and care for it and appreciate it and cherish it. Also, I don't know if y'all have seen it. Maybe I'll find it. We'll go looking for it. I haven't done this in a while. We're going to look for the Eight of Pentacles, the Journeyman. And I just put away the Journeyman edition of the Weaver Tarot, which is interesting. And the reason why I'm going looking for the Journeyman, you will see in a moment. But again, with the Four of Cups and with the High Priestess, it's like, Spirit ain't going to leave Mother Earth out either. Because Mother Earth, just like a Virgo, all she's done, or just like some of the Virgos, I guess, all she's done is give. And we ain't give nothing back. We ain't taking care of her. We ain't appreciating her. She's like, bet. Do. Come on, where is that Eight of Orbs? Ericsonia, if you're still here, this is the reason why I said that the Two of Pentacles was linked to the Wheel of Fortune. Here's the Two of Pentacles in this deck. We see the Wheel of Fortune with the signs in the correct zodiac order at the top, and then we also see them in the opposite order at the bottom, and we see the snake sort of in between. This card is about harmonious transitions between worlds. And there's also an element of fantasy that you had with the elf, but if you don't believe in elves, then, that's why I said, like, be more Pisces up front and be more Virgo on the back end. I did not see the Eight of Orbs, so I'm actually going to give this another shuffle, and then we're going to look. Am I missing cards in this deck too, girl? Am I going to have to pull out all my decks? I might have to pull out all my decks and make sure I have the cards. Because apparently, and make sure they didn't end up in different decks. Apparently. Goodness. I'll probably do that on my new channel, honestly. Maybe I'll go through a few a day. No, because I'm already doing something over there. Right now, I'm looking at more versus less aligned chakras. And I did the throat chakra today, so... Ooh, the Two of Cups is at the bottom of the deck now. The Two of Cups, the Three of Pentacles, and Strength. I feel like Gaia really wants to work with this. But it's like, again, we can't continue to mistreat her or disregard her. And it's interesting because it's like, I don't know if that's the influence of Spirit, but if we include the trees, the plants, and the animals... You just had a dream about snakes. Oh, snap. Girl, well, you like snakes, so... Maybe it's time for you to shed that old skin, girl. Come into something new. Or what were the snakes doing in the dream? That's one thing that I learned recently. It's like, somebody was like, it doesn't matter if you have a dream about a horse or a snake, or... He didn't say a snake. He was like, it doesn't matter if you have a dream about a horse. Like, what was the horse doing in the dream? That's what's important. Not necessarily just the snake or the horse in and of itself. So you don't necessarily have to tell us, but maybe what the snake was doing in the dream is important. Oh, and then there's the Wheel of Fortune, right? Without the pentacle in the middle of it. Where is this Journeyman? And look, see, there you go again. There's a there's a Wheel of Fortune with the Pinnacle in the middle of it. Where? Oh, snap! Oh, who got? I think Eric Sonia. You also got the twin horses are together. The horse of death and the horse from. Oops. Well, there we go. The horse of death and the horse from the Knight of Cups are together. The Knight of Cups is the only unicorn, but they are twin horses. So wooden snakes. They were statues. Oh wow. Well, wooden snakes don't shed skin, do they? That's interesting. Oh, by the way, I have a spare raccoon figurine DIY on Animal Crossing. If you don't have one, I do have it for you. Girl, don't tell me. Oh, here she is. I was like, do not tell me that this thing is gone. Oh, this is what I wanted to do. Okay, well, let's see if I can do this. I hate trying to shuffle like that. But a card did just go. It just flipped over. I love that. Let's see. So this is the card. This is the energy around the Eight of Wands. We got the Page of Swords, and then for her message, oh my gosh, I love this. We got the Page of Swords for her message. I got a card face down, and then we have the Outlaw. Well, there's another snake for you, Ericsonia. So in this deck, instead of the Outlaw being tied up, wrong card. Instead of the Outlaw being tied up with a rope, it's sort of hanging to that ankh, and there's a snake wrapped around him. If this were a traditional, I'd be like, oh, we have a Page of Swords and the Hangman. So there's like this sacred knowledge, maybe. There's this hidden info that this Page of Swords is about to release by cutting this Hangman free. Somebody is about to speak on something. Something is about to be coming to the light that's going to have the whole world gagged, maybe. But the reason why I'm doing this is you can see. Now I can't see. The Eight of Swords and that Conservator, how there's an orb on the top of the head and then an orb around, like that's lower in that throat area. So there's definitely something that we're going to be learning out of this. And then we have the Eight with the Eight. I feel like Gaia has, I got Gaia Awakening earlier today. It's literally Gaia herself awakening. And it's going to cause this apocalypse if we're not conducive, if we're not acting in alignment with what she wants. And that's another thing I was going to say. It's like if Gaia claims the trees and the rivers and the oceans and the animals and the other plants as hers, and if we are also animals, then our vessels also belong to her. And so just like she's not going to tolerate us mistreating our ecosystems and the flora and the fauna, she's also not going to tolerate us mistreating each other. Like that mother. I don't want to be bad parents, but if you two are fighting, I'm going to put you in timeout. Apocalypse. That death that was at the bottom of the deck. That's the energy of a timeout. So she's not trying to get rid of us. We're just on timeout right now until we can figure out how to treat her and how we can treat each other. And it also aligns with what Spirit wants for us, and it also aligns with what we want for each other. Right? And again, so this Conservator, we need to be good stewards to each other and to the planet. That's what we're learning right now. And the message is this Nine of Swords. 999. These are eights. These are not nines. Girl, why did I go that route? I don't know. The Nine of Swords here is the message of this Page of Swords. And again, I feel like it's very much so this energy of everything's going through an awakening. Everything's going through this dark night. Everything needs to realize the truth of who it is so that it can bridge this and get us to this Ten of Pentacles. Why did 10D? Girl, that's really high. Not necessarily. I actually saw something like this before, and Earth was like right here, and it was some kind of like I don't even remember what it was. I've been kind of sort of looking at all kinds of stuff lately, but it was like Earth is the weakest link in this chain to get to certain whatever outside of Earth. I don't even know. It was like this figure, and the Earth was like right there, right here. I believe. And it was like Earth is the easiest entry point to get to whatever. And so I feel like for a minute, like things have been running amok, but now it's time to put things right. So that's what she's saying. She's like, get right or get wiped out. And I believe I've said that before. Anyway, so we're going to be getting a final message, and then I'm going to end this. Thank y'all for being here. This was something. I didn't have to say it like that. It's been entertaining. I'm starting to get hungry. And did I say entertaining? It's been fun. I hope you've all gotten something out of this that you could use going forward in your day-to-day life. Today is such a time of choice. Such a time of choice. And rising to the occasion, gathering up, mustering up the strength and the courage to face ourselves and all of who we are. And again, I said it here, I'm pretty sure it was on this channel, when I was like, it's interesting that there's so much controversy and debate about the mask right now, but if we use a mask as a metaphor of preventing us from spreading things to other people that we don't need to spread to other people, we also know that we project things onto other people as well. And so the mask can be a metaphor of us, instead of projecting all of this weird stuff on the inside of us onto other people to deal with it, put on the mask and face it within yourself, right? So that you're not speaking out, projecting out all of this evil into a collective that's trying to purge itself and rid itself of a lot of that stuff. Right? And it's like, at this point, we shouldn't necessarily we should be able to face it within ourselves. And if we can't, that's what this energy is putting us in the ballpark to be able to do. So, because like Mama G is like, no. If you ain't putting out positivity or love or whatever solutions right now, I'm not playing that game. And I will wipe the board apocalypse if I have to. And Spirit is kind of sort of supporting her right now. So I'd say, get right. Not to minimize anything that's actually going on right now, but again, it's like I said in the past, it's like a lot of people were asking for a lot of things, not knowing necessarily what it was that they were asking for, or what it would require to get it. This is what it requires. It requires a little bit of compassion, a little bit of service to others, even if it inconveniences the self. So for those who are already heavy in serving other people, it's time for you to serve yourself. And it's time for you to make choices and decisions that align with what you want for you, and not always being so quick to sacrifice what you want for something and someone else. So, yeah. We all got something to learn right now. All right. We'll keep that face down, because it almost wanted to come out, but can I get a final message? And if I get one card, we can get an I Ching. Can I get one card, please? Okay. These other cards. I know it was more than one card that came out. I know it was more than one card that came out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. Guess we'll take it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm missing one card. I was like, I know it's more than 2 cards. Girl. Okay, so I'm going to be on here a little bit longer than I expected. You had a friend for a whole 2 hours. What that mean? Oof, and then y'all stop being friends? That reminds me in Best Friend. I don't know if you were there. Wait, no, because we didn't really start talking to each other until high school. Okay, never mind. In the 8th grade or the 7th grade, in middle school, there was this one dude who asked this one girl out in class, and she said yes. And we were immediately like, we were like, girl, you don't even like him. Like, why did you just say yes? And she was like, okay, so yeah, no. And so like they were going out and then not going out within the span of literally a minute. So we were like, you don't even like him. Why did you just say yes? And she was like, oh. Oh, one upright, one in reverse. We'll do two I Chings. And I'm going to recount these because I think two cards came out in the space of one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80. So yeah, I got all of them. How do I do this? I don't know. Bottom of the deck is the Seven of Swords. Okay, let's get into this real quick. Seven of Swords. So on this side we have the Three of Swords. On this side we have the Wheel of Fortune. We're gonna keep this down here. If y'all can see this, kinda. So the Three of Swords with this mystery card. This is the Three of Swords. It's heartache and heartbreak. Also, the Three of Swords is a lack of consensus among individuals that leads to a separation. It's like the Three of Swords is when three individuals go their separate ways, and the Three of Cups is when three individuals come together. The Three of Wands is when one person is kind of sort of waiting for something to happen. The Three of Wands is waiting for something to happen. The Three of Pentacles is making something happen with cooperation from other people. But we have the Three of Swords right here. So this is about disagreements. It's about conflicting ideas that don't necessarily align when it comes to matters of how things should be done or matters of the heart. Over here we have the Wheel of Fortune, which speaks to seasons and cycles. The Wheel of Fortune, no. It's the Temperance card that's mutable. It's the World card that's fixed, and it's the Chariot card. Oh my gosh! I literally just realized that. The Chariot is the end of the first septenary, and it's all the fixed energy. The Temperance card is the end of the second septenary, and it is mutable energy. And then the World card is the end of the third septenary, and it's fixed energy. A septenary is a group of 7. My mom might be live right now, but we updated our internet, so now I don't have to stop being live because she's live. It's amazing. I love it. We can all be live at the same time if we want it. Anyway, so here, something is changing over here. So let's see what this is about. Oof! And here we go again. Our symbol of Mother Earth, the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles has been looking at, well, I mean, I guess it always looks back. First, the Knight of Pentacles wasn't facing Apocalypse. Now the Knight of Pentacles isn't facing this Three of Swords. And the Knight of Pentacles is looking at the Wheel of Fortune. And we have the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck. The Knight of Pentacles is a messenger or a herald from the formed lands, from the land where things already are. And so it could be the case, and again, I said that this is like it's like these are conflicting ideas. What's interesting is I feel that it's like it's bringing up the mask thing as a specific example. But especially in America, in this country, there are so many times when somebody be like, "Hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do this?" And it's like, "Well, that doesn't work." And then you'll point out countries where they already do that, where it's already working, and it doesn't work. And what's been most interesting is I feel like America in particular has always had this narrative of like it doesn't matter what other countries are doing, it doesn't work in America. But now, when we're talking about going back to school, now some of the people who, like, if you talk about healthcare in other countries, if you talk about the cost of education in other countries, if you talk about like maternal leave and stuff like that in other countries, um, it's like, oh, that doesn't work here. But now we're like, well, people in other countries are going back to school. Why isn't America going back to school? People in other countries have like better healthcare. Why doesn't America have better healthcare? People in like some other countries like subsidize education. Why doesn't America? It's like where there's this very like we look at other people when it's opportune for us. And going back to the mass thing in particular, when it comes to education and healthcare and how we do that, it's like we don't want to look at why other people are already doing certain things that we aren't yet doing because of what it will upset. But like there are countries in the world where people already sort of wear masks. And I don't know, it's just interesting to me that the people over there where they're already doing it before this happened aren't like falling out, passing out, and dying because apparently a mask can do that to an otherwise healthy individual or an otherwise capable of wearing one individual. Now it's like God gave us lungs to breathe oxygen, and it's like, okay, well, I put on my mask. I don't breathe as much, sure, but I can still breathe, girl. I'm not dying or asphyxiating. This ain't about all that. But the energy here is like it's not looking at things that are already being done. It's not looking at the solutions that are already present in the real life. It's the messenger from the formed lands. Like this is already happening. Like there's like again, it's already happening. It's already going down. Like there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Like something over here is about reinventing the wheel because we don't think it's going to work for us, or we don't like that other people are doing it, or we don't like that it disrupts these systems. And the Seven of Swords coming over here is going to crash that, bankrupt it to a 10. And that's why this Knight of Pentacles is like, ooh. But again, I feel like these are like practical solutions to problems that we're facing that already exist. And instead of adopting them, or instead of approaching them in a way to get it to work for us, now it's like no, it doesn't work. When in reality, it could work. Then what do we have over here? The sharpshooter again. We see the sharpshooter again. We see the Knight of Pentacles looking at the sharpshooter again. And y'all saw how these cards fell out, right? I want to ask, what is this sharpshooter pointing to? What is she pointing to? Because this is the second time she's been pointing at something. So this card is coming out between the Sun and the Ten of Cups. I love that. Between the Warrior and the Ten of Cups. She's pointing towards the Holy See. And then the Emperor is right there after the Ten of Cups. She's pointing to the structures and the systems. Excuse me, the Holy See in this deck in particular, it's about going beyond and seeking for yourself. And again, it's that energy of like, is this something that I want because I want it, or is this something that I want because I am conditioned to want it? And I feel like on the opposite side is like, is this something that's bad because it's actually bad? Is this something that can't be done here because it actually can't be done here? Or is this something that's bad? Or is this something that can't be done here because it disrupts the systems in place right now that are more about turning a profit, more about the dollar, right? Does this not work here because like y'all running some seedy, shady scam business on on a countrywide level, trying to get us to believe that we don't need or want certain things that we actually do want and need? Or does it actually legitimately not work? Taste and see for yourself is what we're going to end this with. And I want like one card, please, because I feel like that was still tied to everything else. So now the final cleansing message. Oops. The final cleansing message is, let's see. All right. Oh, I just saw the two of yeah, there it is at the bottom of the deck. The Two of Pentacles. I was like, it would be so interesting if the Two of Pentacles came out next to that Wheel of Fortune. I didn't think it would. Okay, work. We got it. Oh, we got two cards, so we'll end up with an I Ching. Wow. The Memory Keeper and the Outlaw. Bottom of the deck is that Temperance Angel with that mutable energy. Love her. I was literally just thinking of you. The Outlaw and the Memory Keeper. This is giving me, it's very much the energy of like humanity having forgot certain things about itself and about its, I don't want to say its cosmic origins, but it's very much so the energy of, see, I was going to be like, I don't want to spoil this. I don't have to tell you what it is, and then I'm not spoiling it. Right? It's giving me the energy of a government, of a people, of someone with the ability to manipulate memory. And so what they do is they come in. Oh, it's happened on several shows. They come in, they establish themselves. It's giving me one show in particular right now. It's an episode of Doctor Who. Oh, girl, I shouldn't have said it, but I was like, well, those episodes are so one-off. But it's like they come in, and for whatever reason, they can't force themselves upon humanity. So humanity has to agree to whatever it is. Humanity has to agree to their specific element of control. And in order to make that happen, they force the hand of humanity, right? It's like they have the ability to come down and just vaporize whatever. We don't have the ability to fight it, but they don't have the ability to take what they want from us either. We have to give it to them. And it's very much so like someone with the ability to rewrite history. And so what they do is they rewrite history in the way that they want it to appear to be, so that we forget everything that we need. And that's the outlaw in that memory. There's certain information that's been, like, just like I said, this Page of Swords is coming to cut down this outlaw. But in this deck, the outlaw isn't tied to a tree with the rope. The outlaw is connected to the tree through the serpent. That is probably the same serpent from the Garden of Eden that coiled itself around the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Right? And that's another thing, I guess, talking about duality. It's like good and evil. I'm not getting into it over here. I'll get into it on the other channel. Honestly, this isn't even something that I would necessarily get into over here anymore. But since I'm already doing it, um, yeah, it's like something that we were intentionally missing. I feel like the thing about the apocalypse energy right now, especially with the pause and then when we hit resume, I know quite a few people were like, something seems odd about how the Black Lives Matter movement took off this time. Something seems a little off about how this particular instance was enough to trigger all of this worldwide stuff when the ones in the past weren't. And I feel like it's steeped in a lot of conspiracy, but also it's like we had reached the point in time where the whole world was shut down. And now that we're restarting, now that we're resuming, and I was talking about this with my dad the other day. It's like now that, and I've talked about it on here before, but maybe not on this channel, I don't remember. Now that we're resuming, we get to decide what we actually want our experience to be. and there are some things in the past that weren't working, but now that we stopped and we're hitting start again, it's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. And that's what this apocalypse sort of gave us the energy to do. It gave us the energy to resurrect the things of old that work, to put to bed the things that don't, and it's a veritable judgment day. But we are deciding as a collective in this space right now, regardless of which side of certain issues you fall on, we're deciding right now how we want to move forward and what moving forward is going to look like. We're deciding what tomorrow looks like. And one of the things that I feel like is so pivotal and so important is we still have to recognize the consequences of our actions. Just because we want to move forward in a different way does not necessarily mean that we are automatically absolved of everything that we already have ourselves queued up for, right? And I say that because I feel like it's easy to take a very dismissive approach about what's going on in the collective that isn't you or isn't of you, right? It's true that the external world is a reflection of the internal world, but the external world has unique properties because our internal world is a world governed by us specifically. The external world is a world governed by many. And so there are certain consequences, there are certain ripples, there are certain effects that whenever we push ourselves outside, we encounter that we wouldn't necessarily encounter primarily solely on the inside, because everything in the inside is us. So it's us interacting with us. But now we need to see how us interacts with others, how we interact with others, right? And that's when we have to accept that duality exists, that actions have consequences, that there are reverberations and echoes to everything that we do. And it isn't always as simple as something on the outside being a reflection of something on the inside. And I think another thing that we're kind of sort of preparing ourselves for is being ready to accept the truth of that. I don't think duality ceases to exist at the. I'm like fairly certain. Don't ask me why, but I'm fairly certain that duality does not cease to exist at 5D. I don't think duality ceases to exist for quite high up, honestly, because there is this feminine, masculine, expressive, receptive, cyclic, life and death, creation and ending energy quite far up. So it's not that we necessarily have to get rid of duality. We need to accept it as it is and maybe get rid of extreme polarity. But honestly, I feel like we need to get comfortable with living in a world of contradiction. And when we get comfortable living in a world with contradiction, and it's something that I literally just said, but I guess I'll repeat it here because I'm feeling led to. And like this is like getting into stuff like this. I typically try to save this for the other channel now. Honestly, but it's like in order to be master manifestors, in order to truly co-create with one another and with the divine that predates and precedes everything here on this physical anyway, anything that you create in some ways has to be at least friendly with the programs and the systems that already are, right? Because then if it doesn't, again, like the external is a shared space, and there are limitations, should be limitations to what you can do to affect other people, especially in a way outside of how they want to be affected. And I feel like some of what we're going to be sort of encountering, if you choose to take that perspective or this perspective, some of the things that we're going to be encountering is the cost of violating, encroaching upon, and trespassing upon the free will of another, and all of the ramifications that that has, and what is apocalyptically possible when you encroach upon the free will of another in this external world, reality realm that is a shared space. And again, the ripples of what the consequence to is of that outside of just what we may immediately link, right? Because if you look at sort of how Earth, and again, this is we're really going there, but I'm not gonna stop it. If hold on, wait, I'm gonna switch this. If you really look at how Earth is sort of coded, ooh, girl, that's really close, and also not balanced. But that's fine. It is what it is. Here we go. I guess I'll just show over here. If you really look at what Earth is coded to be, with it being a land of free will and free choice, and with it being a land of so many sovereign beings on it, we're all in humanity, at least we're raised and taught in a lot of theological systems, we're all created in the image of prime creator. And so the way it's structured, we have to recognize the free will of each other. And whenever we violate that, it's almost like violating the laws of nature itself, almost violating the it's like it's an initial violation on the free will against someone else. But also here we already see in nature the food chain. And so it's like to a certain extent it is, to a certain extent it's not. But what further amplifies that violation is when in the systems that we've created, in the program that we've built with the language provided by this, so let's say Java, C, Python, MATLAB, whatever, the way we code the programs that we run in this sort of as a subsection of this, or to run through these different platforms, the content that we stream on this platform, the way it's set up is it allows certain people to do certain things and to escape consequence. So not only have you trespassed upon and violated the free will of another, but now you've also rigged the system, you fixed the system in a way that keeps you from experiencing consequence. And so things have been shifted so far off balance. There have been so many atrocities and crimes committed against others with absolutely no consequence. It's completely skewed how things are. And as we go through this awakening, through this massive reset, it's going to have to, like, we've been continuously doing this and doing this and doing this. You can't see my bottom hand. It's like we're doing this and we're preventing it from going backwards. We're preventing it from correcting itself again because we're preventing consequence. We are rewarding certain atrocious behavior. We are skewing, and not only again, just these deep, deep, deep energetic gashes emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, even on this planet sometimes. Like, not only are we doing all of that, but also it's like, again, we're preventing nature from correcting itself. We're preventing causality. We're preventing the effect on the cause and effect from happening. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? So what we've effectively done is we've effectively delayed that reaction to the point where now we face apocalypse, where apocalypse is nature's way, is Gaia's way of correcting everything that's been happening. And so that's why I say, and again, everything works in accordance with the divine. We have this opportunity. It's like we've already violated the natural order of things. So now we're entering this phase where not everything on the outside is necessarily a reflection of the inside, but as those incarnated in vessels with DNA made of material that is linked to this planet, there is a certain amount that it's transmuted through us, I guess I could say. And so again, that's another reason why I take the specific stance of when it comes to the masks and when it comes to everything else. Because, and again, in my mind, it's like, in one way, it's something that doesn't inconvenience me, that shares that I'm caring and compassionate and kind, and that I want, like, I care how I affect other people, and that, again, it's like I care that I affect other people, and I want my contribution on the collective to be positive. That's why even from the beginning, when I've talked to certain people or whenever I've talked about it, really, it's like, even if I don't believe I'm going to get it myself, even if I don't think it's going to take me out, that doesn't stop me from how viruses work, how pathogens work. Even if it were bacterial, if it were anything else, it doesn't stop me from infecting other people with it, right? Even if me being in a bad mood, if we take this to energetics, even if me being in a bad mood, or even if me listening to other people, sort of like, even if it doesn't take me to the point where I would consider, and it's gonna go there, so if you're sensitive or you got some trigger warnings, you may want to click off. But one of the things in my mind specifically that I absolutely sort of hate is, oh, lots of emotion are starting to try to come up, girl. Whenever people are bullied to the point where they retaliate, and I know I talked about it earlier on my other channel, um, but it's like, whenever people are bullied to the point where they retaliate with violence against other people or against themselves, and then you'll hear other people say things like, "I was bullied growing up. I was this, I was that growing up, and I never did this." Then it's like, in my mind, it's like, if you know what it's like to be bullied, if you know what it's like to feel isolation and rejection, I feel like you'd have a little bit more sympathy. And I literally just forgot where I was going with that. I can't even remember. Oh, I hate when that happens. Cause then it's like my brain tries to run like 15 different tracks and only have one mouth. um, but I was talking about the masks and how we sort of show. Yes, that's where I was going. It's like, just because it didn't affect you to the point where it took you down a route of violence, whether against you or someone else, doesn't mean that you should then in turn do something to someone else. A lot of people who are bullied turn around and bully somebody else. A lot of people who are abused turn around and abuse somebody else. We repeat these patterns. And it's like, going back to the thing, it's like, I don't care. Like, even though I know it's not going to take me out, the way this works, I can be an asymptomatic carrier. And it is, we could say that if someone is going to get it, they're going to get it regardless. But what I can do is I can ensure that they're not going to get it from me. I don't want to be that link in the chain. I don't want to be the person that causes this. Because again, I feel like there are certain hardships that we could argue are sort of destined for certain people. But I don't want to be the person that inflicts it upon them. And just because they have it coming doesn't mean I have to be the one that gives it. Right? And it's about understanding the consequence that comes with action. And even if through karma or whatever else, like, I can be an unwitting participant in someone else's karma, sure. But am I going to consciously do that? No. And that's not to say that, like, I guess when I say I can be like an unwitting karmic piece in someone else's game, it's like, if someone else takes advantage of a lot of people for whatever reason, or if someone else like manipulates other people, or if someone else does something to other people, and then they try to do it to me for whatever reason, let's say, and this isn't linked to anything in particular. I'm trying to come up with an example and it's not coming to me specifically, but it's like, when it comes time for me to pass the buck on to someone else, if I don't pass it, and if I choose to pull myself out of that game, and if me pulling myself out of one game is someone's karma for what they've done to other people, or even if me pulling myself out of a game reinforces and validates someone's story and narrative that they have on themselves, that's me making a conscious decision on my part of what's best for me, just like other people do it for them. And again, that's sort of that food chain that we all run. That's how we kind of sort of affect each other in ways where maybe we're just sustaining each other and not sustaining each other to the point where we are taking advantage of and disenfranchising and encroaching upon, again, the free will of others. But we've been fixing and rigging the system in a certain way. And now all of that, if we're moving to the 5D, if we have these deep ruts, there are wounds that need to be healed. Wounds that currently cannot heal because we're still in these systems that keep digging the trenches further and further and further down. We strip everything from this planet. Everything that we can, and the things that we don't need, we throw away until we discover their worth, right? Just like how many lands were there in the Americas that we subjected and relegated the natives to, only to then want that land and to force them to move somewhere else. You can't escape the consequence. We can't escape the consequence, and we're in this space where, again, we may be experiencing things or exposed to things on the external that aren't necessarily a complete and 100% reflection of ourself on the internal. But again, someone recently told me, like, you don't even know, like, what your past lives were. So before you say this isn't a reflection of me, maybe not in this incarnation, but it could be in a different one. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about it that way. I never even thought that, in a previous incarnation, I could have been on another side of the equation, or I could have been silent and I could have been complicit or something like that. Never thought of it. In this context, in these days now, right? But anyway, I guess I say all of that to say that even in these times, we have unique opportunities to experience the world in a way that we weren't experiencing it before. And when we fully understand consequence, when we fully understand that anything that we create on this plane, we create with something else, and in order for us to interact with it, it needs to be phase locked into this reality, into this dimension, so that we can experience it. And if we're phase locking it into this dimension and into this reality, there needs to be a space for it. And if we're bringing something into a space where there was nothing, even if we create in a vacuum, if we put it here where it requires nothing of this planet, if we put it here, there's now space that what was natively and naturally here can no longer occupy because we've brought in something else. So again, it gives us deeper insight into so many things right now, and there's so much to be looked at and observed and had beyond the surface of what's happening, but that is in no means to disregard what is happening either. It's an opportunity for us to learn consequence and to really be a master manifester, to really be granted the ability to really create for yourself. You need to understand consequence, and you need to understand how what you do affects other people, because the time for selfishness is over. Honestly, I don't think selfishness thrives as much in the 5 as much as it did in the 3. I don't think selfishness thrives in the 5 as much as it did in the 3. I think I said that right the first time. But yeah, girl, well, it goes there. It honestly does. And that's why I'm like, if we take a moment to stop and not only look at what the fear pole of that polarity, what the darker side of that polarity would ask from us, but if we also look at what the light side would ask from us, what the compassion and the care side would ask from us, and what we have to learn from these situations that we find ourselves in, rather than just trying to take the fastest train out of here, there's so much more to be gained. But a lot of it is, again, it's there's so much that's gate kept by compassion, and that's why we see so many tropes of the chosen one, or the one who is pure of heart, the one who is innocent, right? And it may not necessarily, and I love it because I literally just thought about this the other day. In Once Upon a Time, oh, I didn't have to say the story. It's later in the season. It's later in the series. If you watch it, spoiler alert. I'm sorry. But in Once Upon a Time, Rumpelstiltskin, who is the Dark One, we find out that he was actually a chosen one. And we always think that somebody else is the chosen one, but the dark one is the chosen one. And he comes upon this opportunity to give away his darkness and to step into his destiny as that chosen one, to vanquish the evil that now threatens us, that our previous savior can't save us from. But again, it requires something of him that he's never been. It requires something of him. Honestly, what it required of him was strength. It required courage. And the reason why he became the Dark One is because he didn't have the courage to face the thing that he originally needed to face. And I can't remember where I was going with that. Exactly. Not being selfish would end a lot of problems. But people don't like, and again, like, I don't really look at people who aren't spiritual, honestly. A lot of my attention is being diverted not diverted to, but a lot of more spiritual, more woke, more enlightened people who are aligning to the 3D, people who are in unity consciousness, people who are awakened, people who are working with this guide and that guide and these forces and those forces and everything else. That's where a lot of my attention is going, and I'm just astounded and disappointed at how selfish a lot of those people are. And in my mind, in my reality, it just affirms how we've used spirituality and enlightenment, regardless of if we know it or not, as a means to get what we want out of life. We don't create in a vacuum. We don't create in a void. Every action has a reaction, and anything that we have in this reality has ripples to the rest of the realm. Now, unless you're living in a black hole, or unless you're living in one of those spaces like the what do they call it? In the Matrix, where they could load anything that they wanted into that space, right? Unless you're living in that, when Squidward was all alone, 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 that episode of SpongeBob, unless you're all alone, you're interacting with something else. So it's a scapegoat, exactly. And a lot of us, we buy into scapegoating and we scapegoat our own problems because, again, it's how the system, it's like how the system downloads itself into you in so many ways. And yeah, that's why I have this particular perspective, right? And that's why I'm like, instead of just looking at the shadow, because I feel like a lot of people, and again, that's the space that we're coming out of. We're bucking the system. We're fighting against these control programs. And I was watching somebody, and she was like, there was like this cosmic like demon thing that I can only describe it as a demon, and there are these like lights that would come into this planet, but they've written contracts with this demon or whatever that limits their light and blah blah blah. And it's like I was talking about earlier. No, I don't think that was on this channel. I think that was on the other one. You can't force change on anybody. And so it doesn't serve us and it doesn't serve the collective to just change laws, right? If just changing the laws were enough, there's a lot of like isms that probably wouldn't be a thing right now. Racism and sexism we'd see a lot less prevalent than it is right now if law were enough to change. Like Title IX tried to do some of that. And, we still have infractions. It's the hearts, it's the minds, it's the systems, it's the chains that need to be broken. Change can't take root if chains aren't broken. You can take the prisoner out of the prison, but sometimes you can't always take the prison out of the prisoner. And it's almost like this transition between 3 and 5 with some spiritual people. We're sort of seeing how the prison is still in the prisoner, even though they're free. It's like you're fighting one thing so hard that you're not even stopping to sort of ask what is really being asked of you right now. And again, this is all just my particular perspective. This is all my unique experience. This is how it's all being revealed to me in order to get me to the place that I need to be in, to get me to see the things that I need to see and to integrate the things that I need to integrate to become whoever it is that I will become. And so whatever I see may not necessarily be for you, right? We don't all have the same path. And I realize that. But still, I would urge people, even if my path is not your path, to maybe see what the compassionate thing would be, the kind thing would be. Um, you know. All right, so oof, that was a lot that I didn't expect to get into. I actually didn't expect to get into the SKT over here. I didn't expect to, it isn't necessarily what we expect all the time. I'm going to give this a second or two to say my goodbyes because I know it's a fair bit behind. Thank you for all the people who came in today, for cooperating, and for being here, for allowing me to pull for you, and for asking. Um, I hope that everyone who sees this, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're doing what you need to be doing to do well or to do better. Um, excuse me. And I'm going to end this here. So, this was interesting. And some of this, honestly, the thing about consequence and choice and what it is to be a manifester and what it is to actually come into manifestive ability and how we need to understand consequence. Honestly, the thing about how we've been fixing the system to prevent consequence, and as we've been preventing consequences, the hearts and the minds of humanity have been warping and warping and warping and twisting and twisting and curdling and souring and spoiling and darkening more and more, because there's nothing to encourage someone to not go over the edge when it's kind of sort of celebrated in some ways. And again, what that's done, and how now, and it's like we talk about the poles shifting, and it's interesting that I was doing this and then we do this reset where the poles go back, right? The reinstatement of consequence into the world to get people to actually grow, and how far we've devolved into debauchery and all kinds of stuff without it. um I don't know, I guess in some ways it illuminates the darkness that humanity is capable of when there are no limits and no restrictions. And so when it comes to creating, just, you don't exist in a vacuum. So that is new. I just reached that. So maybe I should interact with this space a little bit more. Maybe not. I don't know. It's constantly unfolding for me, just as it is for all of us. So yeah. All right. Bye. Thank you again.